When Sharon came to the garage and saw Nick Fury, who was covered in injuries, her face changed drastically in an instant. There is no need for Nick Fury to explain, she has guessed that there is a big problem. A dignified S.H.I.E.L.D. director unexpectedly suffered such a serious injury. This is definitely not an ordinary accident. Sharon knows Nick Fury's strength very well. Although he has been in a high position all year round, he hasn't missed 1 point in general training. Most people will never let Nick Fury become like this. It's definitely not easy for someone who can shoot Nick Fury and push him to this point. Sharon supported Nick Fury and slowly came to Lin Yu's grocery store. In the grocery store, Nick Fury seemed to finally relax. But the only thing that puzzled Sharon was Nick Fury looked at his eyes. It seemed something was not right. He seemed to have something to say to himself, but he never said it. The expression is also a little weird. Nick Fury definitely can't say it. Everyone has everybody's choice. Even if Sharon was once his own subordinate, he has no right to manage other people's family. What's more, the subordinate relationship between the two is basically dead in name. Only Nick Fury looked at Sharon's eyes, but couldn't keep calm as before. Hey. Nick Fury sat on the chair and sighed long. I am afraid this is the generation gap. Young people nowadays are different from when they were young. Also, really open, the atmosphere in the room is a bit awkward. Sharon didn't know what happened. Why does Nick Fury look so strange in his eyes? But Sharon hurriedly poured a glass of water for Nick Fury. Then he took out a medicine kit and checked it for Nick Fury. As a high-level agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., Sharon is still very proficient in dealing with some simple trauma. Sharon is in the grocery store, which is one of the secondary reasons why Nick Fury chooses to come here. Sharon is at least half a doctor. I wouldn't die because of the injuries on my body. After a few minutes, Lin Yu finally appeared slowly on the stairs on the second floor. When Lin Yu saw Nick Fury's appearance, his face was shocked. But the reason for Lin Yu's shock was not because of Nick Fury's injury. Instead, Lin Yu recalled a scene in the movie. That Nick Fury was hiding in the house of Captain Steve of the United States, and his whole body was wounded. It seems that the injury at that time was similar to what it looks like now. In an instant, Lin Yu had already guessed the cause and effect. It seems that this guy Pierce has finally started, Lin Yu secretly said in his heart. At the same time, in Lin Yu's mind, the voice of the system also rang. Ding. Congratulations to the host for participating in the Marvel Core plot. Nick Fury is attacked, and reward 1 plot point. This reward is a bit small. According to the previous practice, even if it is a general plot, at least 2 points will be rewarded. But this time there is only 1 point, but Lin Yu can probably understand why there is only 1 point. Because the degree of participation in this plot itself is not very high. I never saw the process of Nick Fury's attack. I just saw how he looked after the attack. It would be nice to have a little plot point. So far, Lin Yu's total plot point has reached 16 points. Lin Yu smiled slightly and walked down from the second floor. How is it? Did you hurt it? Lin Yu asked lightly. This sentence is about Sharon. Sharon, who was inspecting Nick Fury's wound, shook her head slightly, and said, "It doesn't hurt to the point, just stop the bleeding a little bit." Hearing what Sharon said, Lin Yu also nodded slightly. Then, from behind the bar, he pulled out his favorite gaming chair, came to the opposite of Nick Fury, and sat down. Then, Erlang's legs were raised. At this moment, the opposite Nick Fury finally couldn't help but speak first. "Counselor Lin, are you not shocked when you see me like this?" Nick Fury was puzzled. He thought that Lin Yu would be quite surprised after seeing himself. After all, his identity is there. Under normal circumstances, no one would dare to trouble himself. And now, Lin Yu's appearance also felt too calm. At this time, hearing Nick Fury's words, Lin Yu still calmly said, "What's so shocking? You are like this, obviously you were hunted and killed, and then came to me to seek asylum." Lin Yu's words are very straightforward and accurate. Nick Fury gave a wry smile. "Really? The way I look is really obvious. If it weren't for someone to hunt down, he wouldn't come to Lin Yu." "Counselor Lin, you won't shut me out, right?" Nick Fury used honorific words again without realizing it. Now, indeed, he can only seek asylum here in Lin Yu. If Lin Yu kicked him out, he would basically be sentenced to death. At this moment, after hearing Nick Fury's words, Sharon, who was treating Nick Fury's wound, suddenly turned his head and looked at Lin Yu. Lin Yu smiled slightly and gave Sharon a relieved look. During Sharon's tenure at S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury helped her a lot. For Nick Fury, Sharon still has some gratitude. And now, Sharon is Lin Yu's person again. The last thing she wants to see is a problem between Nick Fury and Lin Yu. In that case, it would be difficult for her to deal with it. Definitely. She will definitely choose Lin Yu in the end. It's just that she will leave a lot of regret in her heart. Lin Yu smiled and said, "Look at what you said, aren't we friends? How could I keep my friends out?" Lin Yu said it very sincerely. I am afraid that even if there is no such relationship as Sharon, Lin Yu will not drive Nick Fury out. As a traditional Chinese, he couldn't do this kind of thing. And Nick Fury is really good, not very annoying. Hearing Lin Yu's words, Nick Fury's hanging heart finally fell. The last trace of worry is gone, his long roar exasperated. No matter how to please Lin Yu before, how to fawn Lin Yu, at this moment, it is worth it. Nick Fury almost burst into tears, but just then, Nick Fury suddenly felt in his mind that he should do something. He looked at the medicine cabinet that Sharon had placed next to him, and his brows suddenly frowned. Should I pay for these medical materials? Lin, Consultant Lin, why don't I pay the money first? Nick Fury said weakly. This sentence directly confuses Lin Yu. This is embarrassing. Originally it was a good thing that would bring him closer to Nick Fury and make him owe him favor. As a result, he actually had to pay. This special cat can't make much money. Also lost favor. Lin Yu frowned slightly, turned his head, and looked at the lucky cat behind him. Then, as if talking to himself, go away, don't make money today. This sentence made both Nick Fury and Sharon stunned. Where is this? Who is Lin Yu talking about? Nick Fury felt like he was talking about himself. After all, there is only one outsider in the house. Moreover, I just wanted to pay. But why did he turn his head to face the lucky cat when he said this? If you say to yourself, shouldn't you face yourself? Strangeness. Nick Fury felt a little weird. But, thinking of this, he was taken aback. There was a trace of doubt on his face. What? But why did I have to pay just now? Sharon is still quietly helping Nick Fury deal with the injuries on his face and arms. And at the moment, Nick Fury seemed to have made up his mind. Then, from himself, he took out a USB flash drive and handed it to Lin Yu. This U-disc was exactly what he arranged for Natasha Romanoff to download from the ship of the S.H.I.E.L.D. The data inside has been set up with very complicated encryption. Even the computer in my office cannot be cracked. And now, he had no choice but to take it out and see if Lin Yu could crack the data in the USB flash drive. Definitely. He just wanted to try it. A dead horse is a living horse doctor. He really trusts Lin Yu's strength, only. Other aspects are not necessarily. Consultant Lin, there is a U-disc here, but the data inside is encrypted, I don't know if you can crack it. Nick Fury said weakly. Then he said, it doesn't matter if it can't be cracked. After all, the encrypted program inside is too powerful, and I tried everything to no avail. Originally, I wanted to ask Tony Stark for help. Lin Yu took the U-disc casually, placed it in front of him, and glanced at it a little. This USB flash drive is very familiar. In the movie, he appeared several times. But Lin Yu really has no interest in cracking this USB flash drive. After all, what information is in it? Lin Yu, the door is clear. But since Nick Fury wants to see it, just show it to him. What are you looking for Tony Stark? In this respect, isn't he better than Tony Stark? Small, wait next. Lin Yu smiled lightly and said. Then Lin Yu got up and walked to the door connecting the grocery store to the garage. Knocked the door lightly. Then he said, Bumblebee, get up and work. The door was suddenly opened from the garage. Lin Yu didn't hesitation, just threw it in. But what makes Nick Fury a little puzzled is, Lin Yu did not return to his seat, but standing quietly at the door waiting for something. In Nick Fury's heart, he couldn't help but guess secretly. Could it be that he asked the Autobot to unlock the encrypted data in the USB flash drive? But can a car really unlock the encryption inside? That's not right. Even if it can, it's definitely not fast. Why does Lin Yu stand in front of the door and wait? Would you like to remind him that the encryption program in the U-disc is very strong? Even if it can be cracked, it will take a long time? Boss, it's done. Just when Nick Fury was still thinking about it. In the garage, a yellow metal arm suddenly stretched out. In that hand, there is also a USB flash drive. What's the situation? As this cracked, Nick Fury was taken aback. It feels a little weird. It took only a few seconds from Lin Yu handing the U-disc to the completion of the cracking. 10 seconds? I'm afraid not. Estimated to be 7 or 8 seconds. And this time, Lin Yu already took the U-disc and handed it to Nick Fury's hand. Nick Fury looked at the USB flash drive in his hand and seemed a little unbelievable in his heart. After all, this time is too short. Even if it was Tony Stark, it would take 7 or 8 seconds to open the contents of the USB flash drive. In such a short period of time, it is not even possible to see what type of encryption program it is. But that car was cracked so quickly. Nick Fury struggled hurriedly, trying to stand up. As he walked towards the bar, he asked, "Consultant Lin, then I will use your computer." Forehead. "Wait a minute, I will ask Sharon to get you a laptop." Lin Yu was frightened and hurriedly stopped Nick Fury's behavior. The computer on the bar is not something ordinary people can touch. Even Wanda and Sharon, Lin Yu have never dared to let them touch. This computer is now the strongest level 5 mutant around Lin Yu. If you touch it and accidentally summon a big boss, it's really hard to deal with. Others are fine, after all, any summoned objects are now under Lin Yu's control. But if you summon a dragon to come out, it's really troublesome. In World of Warcraft, dragon mounts are the most popular. The sudden appearance of a dragon on the street will definitely cause great chaos. If it comes out in Lin Yu's grocery store, it is estimated that the entire grocery store will become a ruin. After hearing Lin Yu's arrangement, Sharon, who had helped Nick Fury deal with the wound, hurried upstairs. At the moment, grocery store on the first floor. While waiting for the laptop, Nick Fury also expressed his concerns to Lin Yu. "Consultant Lin, there is one thing I think I must tell you first." Nick Fury's face was a bit solemn. Nick Fury still has one very important thing, and he has not had time to talk to Lin Yu. It is also the only thing he is worried about now. "What's the matter?" Lin Yu asked calmly. Nick Fury said hesitation for a while, and then said, "I think someone will chase me tonight, and I don't know who they are or how many people there are, so you have to be careful." Nick Fury felt that he hid here with Lin Yu and brought some enemies over. It is true that he owes a lot of favor. In addition, Lin Yu happily agreed to his request. It makes Nick Fury feel like he can't stand Lin Yu. So, when he said that there were enemies chasing him, there seemed to be some apologetics in his expression. This matter was indeed his fault, however, he has no other way. At this time, only Lin Yu can save him. Moreover, in S.H.I.E.L.D., there are indeed not many people who can convince him. "Hurt. This is a small matter, don't worry, even if Thanos is here, it is absolutely safe with me." Lin Yu waved his hand indifferently and said. Nick Fury was a little confused. "Thanos? Who is Thanos?" Lin Yu said this, he was a little confused. He had never heard the name Thanos. It sounds very domineering. Is it a very powerful monster? Or which cynical alien? "Hurt, don't care about these details, just rest assured, leave the rest to Erha." Lin Yu smiled wryly. "Thanos, I accidentally said that I missed my mouth." But for those who hunted down Nick Fury, Lin Yu really didn't care. After all, Hydra doesn't have any powerful guys in it now. Except for that Winter Soldier, he still has a little bit of strength. But Winter Soldier? Would Winter Soldier still dare to come to his own grocery store? There is really nothing to be afraid of for a guy who knocks himself out. As for other ordinary people, there is no need to worry. When it comes, it can only become Erha's Chinese food. In other words, Erha has lost weight recently. "Guzi, hurry and get me down." Lin Yu suddenly shouted towards the second floor. After a while, Erha, a little sleepy-eyed, even ran down from the second floor. Lin Yu is naturally unceremonious. This dog didn't save himself at all when he played cards. Boom. Lin Yu kicked Erha's ass. This foot is not light. Since Lin Yu injected Extremis, it feels that the only effect is to play Erha, which makes it easier. In the past, the thin and small physique made my feet hurt even when I kicked it. It's different now. Lin Yu kicked Erha directly to the door of the grocery store. Erha's eyes also seemed to show aggrieved eyes. He slept well, so he just got called, but in the end he was kicked. "Dogsy, go to the door and guard, and eat him if anyone approaches him soon," Lin Yu said casually. Hearing this, Erha immediately regained his spirit. A pair of dog eyes suddenly lit up. hastily squeezed out from the dog hole at the door. And this time, Nick Fury also suddenly realized that his worries seemed really unnecessary. There is no normal one around Lin Yu. It is estimated that as long as the husky is at the door, no one will be able to approach this grocery store. Not to mention, there is a car that can shapeshifting in the garage next to it. Outside the grocery store, at the moment is still very quiet. It seems that the guys who are chasing Nick Fury have not yet arrived. In the grocery store, Sharon took a laptop and walked down from the second floor. Nick Fury also hurriedly won. Although the wound on his body still hurts, he can't wait to know what the secret is in the USB flash drive. Plug in the USB flash drive. Nick Fury hurriedly started operating on the computer. Just a little bit, and sure enough, the data on the U-disk has not been encrypted. A look of shock suddenly appeared on Nick Fury's face. This Autobot is really not easy. Not only is ability powerful, but it can also crack these cumbersome encrypted files so quickly. But Nick Fury's shock only appeared for a moment. Now, what he cares most about is the contents of the USB flash drive. At the moment, Sharon stepped aside consciously. As a former S.H.I.E.L.D. elite agent, she knows that it is better for her to not know some things without the approval of the director. And Lin Yu, still sitting calmly on his gaming chair. It seemed that he didn't care at all about what was in the USB flash drive that led to Nick Fury being hunted down. Not curious at all. Even Nick Fury was a little surprised. What he didn't know was that Lin Yu didn't need to look at it at all, and he knew what was in the U-disk for a long time. At the moment, Nick Fury has seen the files in the USB flash drive. As each word appeared in his sight, his face has also become more and more ugly. Until the end, it seemed to have lost all strength, and he collapsed directly to the ground. There was panic in his eyes. His face is full of shock. In his mouth, murmured, "No wonder they wanted to get rid of me. No wonder Pierce supported me to start the Insight plan so much. It turns out that all of this turned out to be a conspiracy of Hydra." Nick Fury has never felt so sad as today. Not only because Hydra almost completely controls S.H.I.E.L.D. It's also because the comrade that I thought was the best and closest comrade in arms, turned out to be a member of Hydra. And the description in this document is very clear. All instructions were given by Pierce. He turned out to be the leader of Hydra. I was completely deceived. But Nick Fury is worthy of being the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., the world's largest power in Marvel. It's not a loss that he is a guy who can still be very strong in front of so many strong people. His self-regulation ability is indeed very strong. It didn't take long for him to regain some energy. Then, he didn't unplug the U-disk, and walked slowly to the chair opposite Lin Yu. But, although some recovered, but his face is still very bad. At this moment, sitting in the chair, Nick Fury suddenly raised his head and looked at Lin Yu. "Do you know something before?" Nick Fury asked suspiciously. Since he came to the grocery store, Lin Yu has looked calm and calm. Seeing my injured self, there was no accident at all. And seeing the U-disk that I took out so solemnly, I didn't even look at it curiously. It looks like he knows everything. Hearing Nick Fury's words, Lin Yu smiled and shook his head. Then, he said faintly, "I don't know everything. I only know that there seem to be some Hydra people in your S.H.I.E.L.D. Lin Yu ran his fingers and started counting one by one. The biggest leader should be the Minister of the World Security Council, named Pierce. Then there is the captain of your S.H.I.E.L.D. Special Service Team Rumlow and his team members, and a bald head. It seems to be called Hitville." As Lin Yu said names one by one, Nick Fury became more and more shocked. Original. Lin Yu knows everything. These names, each of them, have appeared in the list on that USB flash drive. Finally, Nick Fury smiled bitterly, and said weakly, "If you told me earlier, you wouldn't be so passive now." "You haven't asked before, I thought you knew it," Lin Yu said with a smile. "There are a lot of farts. If I know how to do it, can I be forced to do this?" Nick Fury secretly said in his heart. But he dared not say this sentence. After all, he still has to rely on Lin Yu to survive. But thought for a while. Lin Yu also makes sense. He didn't ask, he didn't say, "It seems there is no problem." At this time, outside the door, suddenly came the cry of Erha. Wow, Erha's voice is very low. Moreover, it seems to be able to hear a trace of fear in its voice. Lin Yu suddenly showed a strange smile on his face. For Erha, Lin Yu couldn't be more familiar with it. This dog has become more and more insidious since he followed himself. Fear? If it were really scared, Lin Yu would have stewed it to eat. This dog is seducing those prey again. With Erha's cry, the voice-activated light in front of the grocery store also lit up. Inside the grocery store, you can see the light changes outside. Nick Fury also hurriedly got up from his seat. He drew the pistol from his waist and gently tiptoed to the door of the grocery store. Follow the door gap beside the doorframe and look out. Completely like an elite agent, and at the moment, Lin Yu still sat quietly above his own gaming, leaning back comfortably. For Erha, Lin Yu's confidence is stronger, and Sharon seems to have completely lost his vigilance as an S.H.I.E.L.D. elite agent. Facing the movement outside, there was no preparation at all. It seems that Sharon was also assimilated by Lin Yu. Definitely. Nick Fury does not believe in Erha's ability. This is just a conditioned reflex behavior. At this moment, Nick Fury, who was extremely alert, suddenly heard a slight voice. It seems to be a gunshot with a silencer. That voice is very dull, you can't hear it if you don't listen carefully. He hurriedly followed the gap in the doorway and looked out. This look suddenly became shocked. The Erha outside the door fell to the ground so great. There is still red blood flowing on its body. Up to now, Nick Fury has not been able to fully accept the assumption that Erha is a monster. After all, it seemed that Erha was just a fat dog. Seeing Erha fell to the ground, Nick Fury hurriedly turned his head and looked at Lin Yu. "Your dog is hurt," Nick Fury whispered. Heard this. Lin Yu waved his hand casually and said, "You watch it honestly, don't be surprised." Nick Fury frowned slightly and looked out the door again. He really cannot agree with Lin Yu's statement. The enemies outside do not know how many there are. Moreover, I don't know if Dao has a powerful thermal weapon. After all, they are all people who infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. They must have many powerful weapons in their hands. What if the dog can't hold it anymore? What if the dog was really killed just now? Is Lin Yu not worried at all? What a cold-blooded master. At this time, just when Nick Fury felt uneasy, there was another movement outside the door. It seems that there are many footsteps. The footsteps are very light, but they sound a lot. Only a dozen seconds later, Nick Fury's eyes widened, and a look of shock appeared on his face. More than that, not so much. At least hundreds of people appeared outside the grocery store. And they even have rocket launchers in their hands. Are these people in Miao preparing to attack any military fortress? A small grocery store, is it such an exaggeration? But Nick Fury still resisted the fear in his heart. Did not make any excessive movements such as escape. He was still observing the situation outside quietly. It's just that, in the palm of Nick Fury's hands, there is already sweat. However, at this time, Nick Fury suddenly found out. The dog that was lying on the ground motionless, the eye facing him, blinked. Nick Fury was taken aback suddenly, rubbing his eyes vigorously with his hands. Look outside again. Blinked again. Do not. It's not a simple blink. It seems to be beckoning roar who is peeping. Erha's acting skills are quite realistic. After lying on the ground, except for a wink at Nick Fury who was peeking through the door, his body remained unchanged. The surrounding Hydra soldiers really thought that the dog had been shot to death. Definitely. It's just a dog. If you can't kill with a gun, it's not a dog. At this moment, the black crowd, all wearing black combat uniforms and masks, could not see their looks, and slowly pressed up. Each of them had a gun in their hands. Even the people behind are carrying several rocket launchers. With this scale of combat power, Nick Fury felt that it was enough to attack his S.H.I.E.L.D. base. Let alone just a small grocery store. The time now is in the early hours of the morning. Except for these people in black, there was no one on the street. Nick Fury's heart also hangs. He knows that Lin Yu's dog is very strong. But with so many hot weapons, can a dog resist it? One more thing. If there is a bazooka, can this grocery store resist it? Will it be blown up directly? Nick Fury looked back at Lin Yu again. However, Lin Yu at the moment is completely indistinguishable from before, and still looks like he doesn't care. The Black Hydra fighters finally approached the door of the grocery store. Among them, a group of soldiers suddenly walked out with a door knocker in their hands. They are already preparing to break in. Nick Fury became more anxious in his heart. When is this dog ready to act? At this time. Just when Nick Fury was already very worried, even a little frightened. Erha lying on the ground suddenly began to change his body. At the moment's Erha, lying in the middle of these soldiers. They thought the dog was dead and didn't care at all. However, this kind of decision brought them annihilation in an instant. Erha's body turned green in an instant, and then suddenly swelled. In the process of expansion, a dark green flame was also burning on the body. It's like a ghost fire on the head of the grave in the early hours of the night. But, except for quite rash people, these flames also have terrifying heat. In an instant, these Hydra soldiers felt the scorching heat from around them. The formation immediately became messy. Moreover, everyone began to flee towards the surroundings. Erha's body is constantly growing. This process is fast. In just less than 4 or 5 seconds, Erha became a huge amounts of 3-headed dog in the green flame hell. Then, its body slowly stood up. The terrifying temperature directly caused the ground to begin to melt. As for those Hydra soldiers who had not had time to escape too far, they were even more miserable. The two closest to them even ignited directly. The flames filled. Arhana's somewhat proud doghead was reflected. Hydra soldiers, their hearts are all filled with fear. These soldiers have no idea how terrifying their target is. Naturally, I don't know that Lin Yu, the dog, is actually a terrifying monster. But their strong psychological qualities still allowed them to quickly organize a counterattack. The soldiers in the distance started shooting at Erha. The gunfire resounded instantly. But they were horrified to discover that when these bullets hit this terrifying monster, they had no effect at all. Some bullets, even before they got close to the monster's body, turned into a pool of molten iron. The temperature on that monster's body is too high. At the same time, suddenly many bullets hit the iron door of the grocery store in the wall. Scared Nick Fury hurriedly took 2 steps back. If you were accidentally hit by a flying bullet, you will be unlucky. The door of the grocery store is an ordinary alloy rolling door. Nick Fury can even see some bulging bullet shapes appearing on the rolling door. If the firepower is more intense, it is estimated that this rolling door will be impossible to resist. Not to mention those bazookas that have not been used yet. However, at this time, the system reminder sounded in Lin Yu's mind. The system will never miss any battle. Ding, the wall of your grocery store felt the violent firefight outside, and I felt extremely scared in my heart. Awakening the bulletproof function, even if the whole street is blown to ruins, it is safe to be in the grocery store. Ding. You feel the pain at the door of your grocery store, and you are extremely scared in your heart. I actively promoted myself and became a vibranium material with an automatic recovery function. No matter how many bullets he has, I will not move. At this moment, Nick Fury suddenly noticed the change in the door in front of him. Those bullet craters unexpectedly began to slowly recover as before. It seems that the ordinary alloy rolling shutter door is slowly repairing itself. What the hell? Nick Fury was not scared by the Hydra soldiers, but by a gate. A terrible thought suddenly appeared in his mind. It's impossible. Is this grocery store alive? Otherwise, how could that iron gate recover the bullet holes on its body by itself? Lin Yu was actually a little shocked. Unexpectedly, the bulletproof function is very strong, and the rolling door turned into a vibranium material. You know, the material of the United States Captain's shield, adamantium's main material, is also vibranium. Such a large rolling door, if it is made into a shield, it is estimated that it can arm a team of the Captain of the United States. At this moment, the body of the 3-headed dog from the green flame hell began to change again. His 3 heads started to separate outwards. After a while, this green flame hell 3-headed dog turned into 3. Each one has a head. The dog's counterattack has finally begun. The 3 dogs suddenly rushed in 3 directions. Those fighters who are considered elite among the soldiers are not opponents at all. The weapons in their hands did not harm the dog at all. And dogs, as long as they are close to them, they can't bear the heat of the dog's body at all. Coupled with the enhancement of the Hulk genes, Erha is now not only a magician, but also a powerful warrior. Its body is extremely powerful, whether it is power or speed, it is very terrifying. Suddenly, outside the door of the grocery store, screams came one after another. But every scream can only be screamed in half. Then it stopped abruptly, because Guzi has started today's supper. As long as the enemy it touches, it will instantly be swallowed into its big mouth of blood. And what's more terrifying is, all Hydra soldiers were swallowed whole. Even if they bite on other parts of their bodies, the bloodshed will evaporate instantly under high temperature. It's as if these soldiers have never appeared in this world. No trace can be left. At this moment, a Hydra soldier who ran far away finally set up the bazooka in his hand and aimed it at one of Erha's body. A fierce flame lit up instantly. A small warhead with the thickness of an arm quickly hit one of Erha's bodies. And at the moment, the Erha seemed to be aware of the danger. It suddenly turned its head and looked at the small missile that was flying towards it. Then, opened the blood basin, far away. The soldier who just pressed the trigger of the rocket launcher suddenly noticed. In the mouth of the blood basin, there seemed to be endless wailing. And he felt that he could follow the dog's throat and see what was inside. Inside, it's like there is a world. It is a world full of magma, a dead silence, countless bones piled into hills, and the sky is full of evil spirits wandering everywhere. It's like it is hell, Hydra's secret base. Pierce never left after arranging the order to continue to hunt down Nick Fury. There was a faint worry in his heart. Although he and Nick Fury are two rivals, one is S.H.I.E.L.D. and the other is Hydra. But I have to say that Pierce still knows Nick Fury very well. He knew very well that his old friend would never do anything unsure. He was attacked by someone arranged by himself before, and he was really caught off guard. But that's it, even let him run away. But after running away, he has many choices. You can go to another place to hide first. You can also go to Black Widow Natasha Romanoff or the more reliable captain of the United States Steve. Even, his time can completely allow him to move rescue soldiers to the United States military and other departments. But Nick Fury chose that grocery store. A grocery store that looks even a little shabby. There is no defensive force at all. As long as you send an armed squad yourself, it is estimated that you can blow it down. But Nick Fury chose there anyway. Pierce's heart became more and more disturbed. He has not been in the post of Minister of the World Security Council for a long time. He was not in this system at the time of the Battle of New York. So, he did not understand many details of the Battle of New York. He didn't even know where that terrifying green monster, Gul'dan, who determined the whole battle situation, came from. Nick Fury did not report some news about Lin Yu he discovered. There is no record in S.H.I.E.L.D. Even in the information of S.H.I.E.L.D., a lot of information about Lin Yu has been destroyed by Nick Fury. This is the brilliant point of Nick Fury. He has always regarded Lin Yu as a trump card, as a hole card to hide quietly. Even Nick Fury also secretly helped Lin Yu solve a lot of things that made him reveal his identity. So, Pierce didn't know Lin Yu, so it was normal. Even those guys who have been lurking in S.H.I.E.L.D. for more than 10 years do not know Lin Yu's specific strength. I just know that there is such a consultant, at the moment. Pierce was sitting in his dedicated office, is watching quietly from the scene of the attack. Special cameras were installed on the heads of some Hydra soldiers who attacked the grocery store. The footage taken by the camera will be transmitted back to this secret base of Hydra as soon as possible. At the moment, the picture of the grocery store finally appeared on the screen. But what surprised Pierce a little? At the door of the grocery store, there was a husky that looked a little fat. It's so late, how can a dog be outside? Is it possible that it is used for warning? Pierce narrowed his eyes and immediately understood what the other person was thinking. The dog's hearing is very sensitive, and it is most suitable for alert. And this time, the Erha really stood up slowly. Want Wong yelled a few times. But even Pierce could hear the dog's fear through those few calls. It's an idiot, it's amazing to let a dog like that brave to watch the door, Pierce said secretly, eyes full of disdain. At this moment, a Hydra soldier with a sniper rifle in his hand has set up the sniper rifle in his hand. Originally, to deal with a dog, a pistol or something was enough. However, to be safe, I still used a sniper rifle. Puff. A faint voice reached Pierce's ears. In the picture, the husky fell down. Hardly played any role as a warning. There was also a smile on Pierce's face. So far, everything is going well. Nick Fury, as well as that consultant Lin, probably wouldn't be able to escape even if he put on his wings. However, Pierce was a little bit happy early. Everything went smoothly for the offense, but suddenly something changed. In the video, Hydra soldiers are already preparing to break in. But the whole picture turned green in an instant. The dark green fire, the entire street shining, and the bodies of hundreds of Hydra soldiers turned green. Immediately afterwards, in the picture, the huge three-headed monster appeared. The chaos began. Even the high-quality Hydra fighter, facing such a behemoth, can't help but feel scared. And its combat effectiveness is indeed strong and terrifying. Even more terrifying is, in the constantly shaking picture, Pierce actually saw the three-headed monster, and it split into three quickly. and began to completely massacre the Hydra soldiers. Pierce's heart was messed up. The original good mood disappeared instantly. His face was gloomy, as if dripping water. Did not expect. A pet dog that looks completely harmless has caused such a great loss to himself. But Pierce hasn't completely lost hope. Because in this team, there are many powerful thermal weapons. For example, bazooka. At this moment, a soldier finally pulled the trigger on the rocket launcher from a distance. A satellite missile that was spraying flames quickly flew towards one of the dogs. High speed. Although there are wounded Hydra soldiers around. But Hydra's style is like this: even if you die, there is no fear. They are like a group of dead men. But what surprised Pierce a little? The dog actually opened his mouth at the missile. Pierce was puzzled. How could this dog behave like this? Does it want to swallow that missile in one bite? Can missiles be eaten? Joke. A smile appeared on Pierce's face. A silly dog, even if it is very powerful, will not understand the horror of human weapons. Definitely. All this only happened in an instant. The missile, like a shooting star, with a sound of woo, it got into Erha's blood bowl accurately. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. The smile on Pierce's face slowly disappeared. It didn't explode? What's the situation? How can it be? 5 seconds. 6 seconds. Finally. There was a muffled voice on the battlefield. It was as if the sound of the explosion was covered by something. And this time, in the video in front of Pierce, the dog hit by the missile suddenly opened its mouth again. There was a sudden burst of smoke from that mouth. What shocked Pierce even more? With heavy smoke coming out of the dog's mouth. It was so full. Damn it. A missile. It turned out to be just filling it up. Pierce slumped slowly on the sofa behind him. For an instant, he seemed to be several years old again. How did you run into such a weird thing? Could it be? This is the trump card of the consultant Lin, who is extremely trusted by Nick Fury. A dog that can split into 3 monsters and swallow miniature missiles? Do not. Never give up. This is Hydra's last chance. If you don't kill Nick Fury, you will definitely have trouble. Pierce's face gradually returned to calm. As the leader of Hydra, he is not the kind of guy who is easily hit. The more setbacks, the more he can arouse his fighting spirit. But what should I do now? Pierce sat on the sofa, pondering for a long time. It seems that some determination has finally been made. He secretly said in his heart, since we have reached this point, Hydra has nothing to hide. He suddenly picked up the communicator on the table in front of him, and then tuned to a special channel. In his eyes, Li Mang flashed, and slowly said, use the bomber to blow up the entire 58th Avenue in Manhattan. At the moment, SHIELD ground base, a fighter jet took off suddenly. And the takeoff of this fighter was not authorized by SHIELD. At the moment, it was less than a day since Nick Fury was attacked. And Nick Fury's cell phone was also lost in the attack. The high-level agents of SHIELD can't contact Nick Fury at all. Definitely. Even if it can be contacted, it is estimated that Nick Fury will not answer the phone of SHIELD. Because he now knows that SHIELD has basically been occupied by Hydra. And at the moment, SHIELD is the old subordinate of Nick Fury, the Hill agent. Before Nick Fury was attacked, he just noticed that there was a problem in SHIELD. He immediately called the Hill agent who was performing the task outside. Ask Hill agent to hurry back. Only. Unexpectedly, after Hill came back, he didn't see where Nick Fury was. He can't even be reached. But when Nick Fury is not at headquarters and cannot be contacted, Hill, as the only 9th level agent of SHIELD, has the power to manage SHIELD. And at the moment Hill did not rest. Because Nick Fury couldn't get in touch, she was very worried. At this time, seeing a fighter jet taking off suddenly without authorization, Hill was stunned for an instant. Now that SHIELD and Nick Fury can't get in touch, he should have the highest authority. If a fighter takes off, you should also report to yourself. But I didn't even receive the news at all. Damn it. She hurriedly picked up the communicator and contacted the communication equipment on the fighter jet. I am SHIELD 9th level agent Maria Hill, who gave you the takeoff order? Hill agent hurriedly asked. If something goes wrong under one's own jurisdiction, it will be a big deal. And as far as she knows, that plane is carrying a powerful missile. Although it is not a nuclear bomb, but it is enough to destroy half a city. At this moment, from Hill's communicator, the voice of the flightman came. It's Chief Fury's order. Hill frowned slightly. Director Fury? Impossible. I can't contact him anymore. How could it be his order? Obviously there is a problem. The order you received is fake. Chief Fury did not give a takeoff order. I now order you to return immediately. Return immediately. Hill said anxiously. But the flightman was obviously not prepared to follow Hill's orders. As a SHIELD flightman, Chief Fury's order is heaven. What I received was indeed the order of Chief Fury, so you don't have the right to order me to return, said the flightman. This flightman is not actually a member of Hydra. But he had to obey Nick Fury's orders. Obviously, this order was forged by Pierce. As a minister of the World Security Council, he still has great powers. In cooperation with those Hydra members who have been hidden in SHIELD for a long time, it is very simple to forge an order from Nick Fury. At this time, Hill already knew that he might not be able to call the plane back. I can only take the second place and ask, Soldier, as a 9th level SHIELD agent, I ask you to report your mission goals this time. The flight crew could not refuse this request. Reported to the Hill agent in the communicator. The order I received was to drop a missile on a target on 58th Avenue in Manhattan. The target coordinates are 404241.27 north latitude and 74,131.51 west longitude. Hear the report of the flight crew. Hill hurriedly opened the map on the computer in front of him. The coordinates are entered. Then, she zoomed in on the map of the coordinate location. Suddenly, I was shocked. This place. How is that grocery store? On the computer screen in front of her, the map clearly showed a building with a grocery store. She is very familiar with this. After all, I have been there alone. Moreover, because the grocery store was so weird, she couldn't forget about that day. So, this grocery store was deeply impressed by her. Oh my God. The more Hill thought about it, the more shocked it became. Here, it's Consultant Lin's home. If the missile really hits there, the consequences would be disastrous. Moreover, this is not just Lin Yu's problem. Although Manhattan 58th Avenue is not the most prosperous place in New York, it is basically the center of the city. If missiles were actually dropped here, the consequences would be disastrous. Hill slightly estimated in his mind that the expression of fear on his face was even worse. Dropping missiles in such places is estimated to cause more than hundreds of thousands of casualties. Property losses will also be countless. What to do? What to do? Hill paced around anxiously like an ant on a hot pot. Correct. Hill suddenly remembered. Since I can't stop the launch of the missile now, the only thing I can do is to contact Consultant Lin. A glimmer of hope suddenly rose in Hill's heart. Consultant Lin, so mysterious and powerful, he must be able to think of a way. But how to contact each other? There is it. A hint of joy suddenly appeared on Hill's face. Pick up the phone. Dialed a number in the grocery store. A cell phone ringing suddenly rang. It's Sharon's cell phone. Lin Yu helped to set the ringtone. You are the most beautiful cloud in my sky. Let me treat you with my heart. It's so late. Who is calling? Sharon hurriedly picked up the phone. Hill? Sharon was taken aback for a moment, and then answered the phone. Sharon? Hill agent's surprised voice came over the phone. She is most afraid of not being able to contact Sharon now. She doesn't know Lin Yu's phone number. The only person who can be contacted is Sharon. Hill, it's so late. Why are you calling? Sharon asked with a smile. The screams outside are still constantly ringing. However, Sharon seemed to be on the sidelines. Since following Lin Yu and possessing the power of Thor, her character seems to have been affected to a certain extent. Hill on the other side of the phone didn't have time to greet Sharon, and hurriedly said, Sharon, tell Consultant Lin, there is a plane with missiles going to your side. It is estimated that it will take less than 2 minutes for a missile to fall on you. Grocery store. Hill's tone is quick and anxious, but he speaks clearly. At the same time, the sound is loud. Not only Sharon heard it, but Lin Yu and Nick Fury also heard it. Lin Yu was taken aback for a moment. Nick Fury was shocked. Sharon was also quite shocked. What's the matter? Where did the plane come from? Why did you drop missiles at us? Sharon asked hurriedly. On the phone, Hill explained again. It's the SHIELD plane, but the flight officer said it was the order of Director Fury. I think it's impossible, but I can't contact Director Fury. Hear what Hill said on the phone. Sharon suddenly raised her head and looked at Nick Fury, who was still standing at the door. Lin Yu also looked at Nick Fury dumbfounded. They were all stunned. God. Nick Fury was able to order the bombing of self with missiles. An extremely funny feeling came out spontaneously. Definitely. Lin Yu and Sharon absolutely do not believe this imperative Nick Fury issued. After all, he is not stupid. At this moment, Sharon finally said weakly on the phone, "Hill, be confident, and remove the I think." On the phone, Hill agent doesn't seem to understand the meaning of Sharon's words. But, hearing what Sharon said next, she was stunned immediately. "Director Fury is here with us." Sharon casually took a photo of Nick Fury and posted it. In the photo, Nick Fury is standing behind the gate of the grocery store. At this moment, the whole grocery store was filled with a strange atmosphere. Nick Fury felt that his brain couldn't turn a bit. Obviously the missile is coming soon, but whether it is Lin Yu or Sharon, they all look like okay people. That's a missile, not those ordinary weapons. A missile, even if it is not a nuclear missile, can definitely blow up the whole street. But what are Lin Yu and Sharon doing? No worries at all. Even Sharon still has time to take a picture of herself. "You guys, shouldn't you pay attention to the missile that is about to fall here?" Nick Fury asked weakly. Hearing Nick Fury's suggestion, Lin Yu nodded slightly. "I really have to think about how to solve it. Sharon should be able to solve it. Since she obtained the same ability as Thor, she now also has the ability of flight. Like Thor back then, Sharon can fly out and intercept that missile with only the help of Mjolnir. However, it may not be very safe. After, Sharon's flight speed was not very fast. Wanda should also be able to solve this missile. But I don't know how Wanda's power is controlled now. If you haven't fully grasped it by any chance, it will be over if you accidentally fail to control the power of the explosion. In fact, even if you do nothing, it is not a big problem. After all, the system is there. If the missile wants to attack itself, it will definitely be affected by negative mutation. But Lin Yu has no way to control what is mutated. If the missile does not disappear, it will explode somewhere else." Lin Yu thought for a while. It seems that the best choice to solve this missile is the Hornet. Under Nick Fury's nervous gaze, Lin Yu finally took action. He slowly got up from the gaming chair, then walked to the garage door, knocked on the car door, and said, "Bumblebee, get that missile." Finished. Lin Yu slowly returned to his gaming chair. "Is this over?" Nick Fury was panicked. "Just arranged a sentence to get that missile?" "It's over. Even if you let a car solve a missile, after all, that car can shapeshifting. But anyway, make specific arrangements too." But seeing Lin Yu's full-fledged look, Nick Fury still held back and did not raise any questions. He has gradually become accustomed to some of Lin Yu's methods. Just handed over the task of guarding the grocery store to Erha, and it was the same. Now, the problem of handling missiles is handed over to a car, and the same is true. Nick Fury understands that Lin Yu's arrangement is so easy, not because Lin Yu died. Rather, he seemed to believe very much in the dogs and cars around him. Since Lin Yu is not worried about himself, what is he worried about? Nick Fury sighed for a long time, and came to the opposite of Lin Yu and sat down. His pistol also received his waist again. Now my own destiny is no longer in my control. Thinking so much is actually useless. Nick Fury also gradually understood. My worries are actually superfluous. Since entering this grocery store, his life has been completely handed over to Lin Yu. Life or death is between Lin Yu's thoughts. What are you still thinking about? At the moment, the screams from outside the door have gradually stopped. Until there was no sound, the street became quiet again. At this moment, Lin Yu said slowly, "Sharon, open the door." Lin Yu felt that tonight is destined to not have much rest time. Simply open the door directly. See what will happen tonight. Hearing Lin Yu's words, Sharon walked slowly to the door. Opened the door directly. The roller shutter door made of vibranium was also pulled up. Suddenly, the status quo on the street is all displayed in the sight of a few people. At the moment, there was no one in front of the grocery store. Not even a piece of clothing or a shoe. The only difference from usual is that there are many weapons on the ground. There are pistols, submachine guns, sniper rifles, and even several bazookas. It's like a gun battle game where you can pick up a gun anywhere. But those guns are probably not usable anymore. Because the ground has been shape-shifted by roasting, there are even traces of roasting in many places. Most of those firearms are slightly shape-shifting. It was obviously burned by the flames on the three-headed dog of the green flame hell. At this moment, I didn't know Erha, who had just changed back to the original shape in that corner, suddenly slipped in from the door. The fur on his body is still very silky. Even the position where he was shot before is no longer visible. No trace was left at all. But, seeing Erha come in, Nick Fury's body obviously made a backward dodge motion. Although he was forcibly stopped, however, Lin Yu saw it clearly. It seems that Erha's performance just now left a deep impression on Director Fury. Nick Fury was indeed a little shocked, although he has seen Erha after his transformation in many videos. However, the picture in the video is completely different from what you see in reality. The shock that I saw at the scene made Nick Fury's mood uncomfortable for a long time. Until now, he is still remembering how Erha swallowed a miniature missile in one bite. Quite shocking. If it had been before, Nick Fury would never believe that a dog could swallow a missile into its stomach in one bite, and it would be completely fine. Can't imagine Erha seems to be really full this time. Ignoring Nick Fury, who was spying on himself just now, he walked directly to Lin Yu's feet and fell on his stomach after a full span. He closed his eyes and calmed down, and at the moment, just after Erha returned to the grocery store, there was also a sudden movement over the garage. Camaro's engine roared. The bright yellow streamlined body slowly appeared in the eyes of everyone. This time, finally it was the turn of the Hornet. It decides to perform well. When Erha was out of power before, Bumblebee had been watching secretly through the cameras on the street. For Erha to have such a good opportunity to perform in front of the owner, Bumblebee is extremely envious. This time, it's finally time to act by yourself. And Lin Yu did not restrict any actions of the Hornet at all. Just gave him a goal, but it did not say the specific steps. Bumblebee thought about it. A decision was quickly made. It actually has many ways to solve this right missile. Even before the missile is launched, it can completely control the fighter by hacker means. Let the missile not be launched directly. You can also hack into the air defense system of a New York military base and directly knock down that aircraft or missile. These are all very simple methods. Save time and energy. Only, it seems very simple, it seems that I don't contribute much. In this case, there is no better performance of Erha. So, Bumblebee chose a more time-consuming and laborious way. In front of the grocery store. After the car-shaped Bumblebee appeared, shapeshifting started directly in front of Lin Yu and others. But this is times, it did not become an Autobot form. Instead, a huge amounts of cannon tubes stretched out directly at the front end of it. Its body also started shapeshifting and turned into a huge amounts of base. A few seconds later, Bumblebee turned into a huge amounts of fort. A cannon barrel 3 or 4 meters long, pointing diagonally to the sky. Just from the naked eye, it can be seen that this is a big killer. He seems to be ready to attack and defend, at this moment. Nick Fury, who was sitting by the door, suddenly raised his head and looked at the sky. In the distant sky, a light spot suddenly appeared. That spot of light seems to be moving fast, and there is still a long flame behind it. Missile. Finally come. Hydra secret base. After giving the order to destroy the entire 58th Avenue in Manhattan with missiles, Pierce has been monitoring the grocery store with satellite photography. The development of Hydra to the present, naturally has its own secret satellite. They used some private technology companies to launch at least several satellites. It is purely for Hydra service, at the moment. Sitting in his secret office, Pierce was watching the video in front of him. On the satellite image, he could see that the aircraft had dropped missiles. It doesn't look particularly clear, but it can also tell what the missile looks like. Seeing that the missile had been launched, Pierce finally showed a smile on his face. Forging Nick Fury's orders, this kind of thing will expose oneself sooner or later. But, in order to be able to get rid of Nick Fury, the only guy who can stop the Insight project, all this is worth it. As long as the Insight plan can proceed smoothly, it doesn't matter if you are exposed. At that time, there will be no one in the world who dares to defy Hydra's orders. I finally don't have to act all day long. It's exhausting to deal with the directors of the World Security Council all day long. But, at this moment, Pierce looked at the picture of the grocery store again. There is a video screen, which has been monitoring the situation of the grocery store. At the moment, Pierce found out suddenly. In front of the grocery store, something bright yellow suddenly appeared. It seems to be a car. Pierce was taken aback for a moment. Then there was a trace of disdain on his face. Did they receive the information that the missile was about to fall so quickly? Is this going to run? Ha 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 ha, Pierce even laughed. He knew that S.H.I.E.L.D. was almost completely controlled by Hydra. But there are still some people who are very loyal to Nick Fury. It is normal for them to report the missile to Nick Fury. But now that the missiles are on the road, even if it is the fastest sports car, it is impossible to get out of the missile's range. Doing this is just a fearless struggle, however. It didn't take long for Pierce's smile to last. He suddenly saw that no one came out of the grocery store. The car did not move again, immediately afterwards. In the blurry picture, the car seems to have undergone great changes suddenly. It seems to be shapeshifting. Pierce knew the Autobot who could shapeshifting. After all, Lin Yu made a high-profile appearance on the space carrier and was seen by many SHIELD staff. Among these staff, there are many Hydra members. But can a shapeshifting robot stop that missile? It should not be possible. However, in the picture, the shapeshifting of the car did not become an Autobot. It has become a cannon with a long barrel. Pierce looked at the picture on the screen in front of him, and suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. Is it possible that they can even stop the missile? Are you kidding me? At this time, in the picture, the bumblebee that turned into a cannon suddenly lit up with a bright light. It seems that it is really intercepting that missile. Pierce was surprised. It seems that the last thing I want to see has happened. And what makes him feel even more terrifying? In the picture, the cannonball fired by the Hornet was faster than the missile fired by the plane. Almost 3 times faster than that. How is it possible? Pierce was shocked. Although he doesn't know much about missiles, he also knows that the speed of missiles in flight is definitely close to Mach 2. 1 Mach is twice the speed of sound. 2 Mach is twice the speed of sound. The opponent's shells, on the screen, looked at least 3 times the missile launched on the plane, or even faster. In other words, its speed is at least 6 times the speed of sound. This is simply impossible. In missile interception, the faster the intercepting party, the higher the success rate of interception. This is common sense. When seeing the speed of that shell, the hope in Pierce's heart was dashed. He limped again on the sofa behind him. His complexion was extremely solemn. Really. After only a moment of effort, there was a violent explosion in the video. But the explosion did not explode on 58th Avenue in Manhattan. It exploded in the sky dozens of kilometers away. And at the moment, the grocery store in the picture is still standing there quietly. Don't move. This was Pierce's last resort. If the missile can't kill Nick Fury, then there is really no way. Sitting on the sofa, Pierce's face became more and more ugly. Could it be that Hydra's only opportunity is so lost? Do not. Suddenly, a trace of anger appeared on Pierce's face. He was unwilling to fail like this. If it fails this time, Hydra will never have a chance again. With Nick Fury's means, the entire Hydra organization will surely be uprooted. And because he has been exposed, he will definitely not end well. So, can't fail. Pierce stood up suddenly. His eyes were red and he gritted his teeth. It seems that a decision has been made in my heart. At this moment, Pierce picked up a communicator on his desk. Then a secret number was dialed. Said to the inside, "Pass my order, all the members will return to work, 1 hour later, execute C-plan." On the other side of the phone, he was obviously taken aback. Then, 2 seconds later, he hurriedly replied, "I have received it." Pierce slowly put down the communicator. He did not stay. Leaving the base, head to SHIELD headquarters. Plan C is Hydra's last resort. The only purpose of this C-plan is to insight into the plan. After the implementation of Plan C, all Hydra undercover agents in SHIELD were dispatched, and at all costs, even if their identities were revealed, even if their colleagues were killed, they had to arrive at the designated positions as soon as possible. Then, launch 3 space carriers as quickly as possible. Regardless of whether the space carrier is completely completed or not, it must be launched. At the moment, the space carrier, although there are indeed many places where that has not been completed. But its flight system and weapon system have already been completed. As long as there is stable operation of these 2 systems, coupled with the Hydra algorithm, it is already possible to make Hydra invincible. After this order was issued, the whole SHIELD was immediately messed up. Numerous Hydra undercover agents, regardless of the risk of identity exposure, all rushed from their homes to the SHIELD headquarters. This scene frightened the Hill agent who was still at the SHIELD headquarters. Standing in front of the window, watching countless cars approaching, countless SHIELD members all ran to the SHIELD headquarters building in a hurry. It made her feel extremely weird. I clearly did not order everyone to return to work. Why is it so late, but they seem to have received orders? In the end, what happened? Could it be that it was Chief Fury's order? Hill agent hurriedly called Sharon again. Sharon, please help me ask Chief Fury, is it his order to get all the employees back to work? On the other side of the phone, Sharon heard Hill's anxiety. He hurriedly conveyed this sentence to Nick Fury. Nick Fury's face suddenly changed when he heard Sharon's words. Hill did not know the purpose of Hydra. After reading the contents of the USB flash drive, Nick Fury knew that the ultimate goal of Hydra was to insight into the plan. And now, the abnormal behavior of these people. Let Nick Fury think of a possibility. Could it be that? My God, if they really let them launch 3 space carriers into the sky now, then this world will be over. Nick Fury's face changed drastically. He was in a good mood. Just when the Hornet hit, it intercepted the missile directly in the sky. Let him open his eyes. Originally thought, Hydra's prestige was greatly frustrated. However, I didn't expect that Hydra was going to be desperate. So many people rushed back to S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters overnight, it's not weird to be all or none. Nick Fury hurriedly snatched the phone from Sharon's hands. Then he asked on the phone, Hill, what did you just say? How many people have returned to the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters? On the phone, the same anxious voice from Hill agent came. Director, there are at least a few hundred people. They all seem to be anxious. What is the situation? Hill agent hurriedly reported. She still doesn't know about Hydra. I thought these people had received orders from Nick Fury. At this moment, Nick Fury solemnly said on the phone, Hill, you are hiding now. Those people are all arranged by Hydra to undercover S.H.I.E.L.D. They are all Hydra. Hearing Nick Fury's words, Hill was stunned. These people are all Hydra members? Are there hundreds of people? Damn it. How many employees are there in S.H.I.E.L.D.? Most of them are Hydra? Are you kidding me? Doesn't that mean that S.H.I.E.L.D. is almost all occupied by Hydra? But obviously Director Fury can't be joking at this time. Then, what do they want to do? Hill asked. On the phone, Nick Fury hurriedly explained. They want to send those 3 space carriers to the sky, and the Insight plan has been completely controlled by Hydra. Heard this. Hill was completely frightened. As the highest level agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. besides Nick Fury, she knows the terrible Insight plan very well. If it is really controlled by Hydra, the consequences will be disastrous. At this moment, standing in front of the window, Hill suddenly saw a familiar face in the crowd below. She was surprised and said to the phone, Director, I saw Minister Pierce, he seems to be here too. The office of the World Security Council is on the top floor of the S.H.I.E.L.D. building. But now in this situation, why did Minister Pierce also appear? Is he here to stop the Hydra project? But then Nick Fury's words on the phone made her feel like an ice cellar again. Don't worry about so much, you should find a way to save your life first. Pierce is the boss of Hydra. Minister Pierce is the boss of Hydra? Hill's eyes widened in an instant. Hearing Chief Fury's explanation, she felt completely confused. Pierce is the minister of the World Security Council, with great power. He is all Hydra, so are there any good people in the whole S.H.I.E.L.D.? Hill agent looked out the window. After Nick Fury's explanation, she finally found a problem. That is, if the people below who ran to the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters building were all Hydra, they saw Pierce and did not have any aggressive behavior, which has already explained the problem. At this moment, just when Hill was a little bit reluctant, Nick Fury's voice came through the phone again. Find a way to get out of there first. Nick Fury actually wants Hill agent to stop Hydra's conspiracy. But he also knows that almost the entire S.H.I.E.L.D. is now controlled by Hydra. I'm afraid Hill can't do anything alone. No, even if you add a few other people, you can't stop Hydra. Since you can't stop it, it's better to leave that dangerous place early. Hill hurriedly responded, then hung up and lurked secretly. But in this situation, even if you want to leave, I am afraid it is not easy. In the grocery store, Nick Fury put down the phone, his face pale. The thing he worries the most has happened. As the initiator of the Insight plan, he knows the horror of Insight plans best. If it is really launched by Hydra on 3 space carriers, and the algorithm is changed, that's it. It is estimated that he, Hill, and even the President of the United States, the leaders of the various military, will be the target of attack. By the time, it is estimated that the entire Malekin will be controlled by Hydra. How to do? Finally, Nick Fury looked at Lin Yu, who was sitting across from him, with Erlang's legs tilted, and looked like a dangling man. Seem. There is no one else I can rely on. The look of Consultant Lin looks really unreliable. But his strength is indeed really weird. As an enemy, he is a terrifying figure who can absolutely scare the enemy into sleep. But, as a teammate, as long as he is willing to help, he has never failed. Although the way of helping is a bit weird. Lin Yu raised his head, just in time to see Nick Fury's red one-eyed staring at him. Lin Yu suddenly felt a little uncomfortable all over the army. What a big man staring at himself. Look at what I'm doing, Lin Yu said uncomfortably. Nick Fury was taken aback by Lin Yu. But then, there was a hint of pleading on his face. He really has no choice now. All hopes can only be pinned on Lin Yu. I can only hope that Lin Yu's weirdness can bring despair to the enemy. Otherwise, it will be oneself who is desperate. Counselor Lin, I am afraid that only you can help with this matter. Hydra has already made a desperate move. If they succeed, the consequences will be disastrous, Nick Fury said weakly. At the moment, he has completely lost the majesty of the director. But Lin Yu obviously didn't buy it. What are the consequences? Lin Yu asked knowingly. Nick Fury hurriedly explained. If Hydra is really successful, then everyone in Millikan will be under Hydra's surveillance, and they have a terrifying algorithm. As long as there is a possibility of threatening Hydra in the future, they can do it. Get rid of this person in an instant with the weapons on the 3 spaceships. At that time, at least millions of people will die in the hands of Hydra, and everyone will live in the shadow of Hydra in the future, and they will not even dare to resist. The most important thing is that you will also be the target of Hydra. Nick Fury explained it again, although it was all guessed by Nick Fury through his understanding. But the probability of this kind of guessing is basically 100%. Lin Yu will indeed become the target of the Hydra attack. But Lin Yu suddenly laughed and said, I am not afraid of being attacked. Their attacks will not work for me at all. Hearing Lin Yu's words, Nick Fury frowned again. These words reminded him of Lin Yu's character. I just helped myself, probably because of Sharon. It may also be a temporary rise. But the essence of Lin Yu is not a helpful guy. How can this be done? If Lin Yu doesn't make a move, then there is really no chance. Nick Fury pondered for a while, and finally said slowly, then, what kind of compensation do you need to make a move? Hearing Nick Fury's words, Lin Yu's face suddenly showed a smile. Remuneration? Wouldn't it be better to say that earlier? Lin Yu smiled and waved his hand, with an awe-inspiring look, and said, talking about the rewards, this will be an outsider. Hydra is the common enemy of mankind. Solving any one of them is a human being. Nick Fury's face went dark. Lin Yu went on to say, definitely, your shield has too many 3 space carriers, and it is estimated that you won't need so many. It would be nice if you could divide me into one. Nick Fury's face was dark and purple. If Lin Yu wants a space carrier. There are actually many ways, but he is not a robber. Just like at that time, when he wanted Mjolnir, Lin Yu didn't grab it. Instead, choose a fair deal with Thor. Very fair transaction. And this time, Lin Yu also chose to let Nick Fury take the initiative to send a space carrier. And on the premise of not taking advantage of others at all. This is one of Lin Yu's principles of life, for the space carrier. When Lin Yu watched movies in his previous life, he felt quite domineering. If you can own a space carrier, then Lin Yu is quite excited. Although he hasn't figured out what to do if he owns a space carrier, he doesn't even know whether he can afford the maintenance cost of the space carrier. But Lin Yu is not a person who always considers the consequences of everything. Sometimes, you have to run first before you can think about how to go. Tony Stark's steel battlesuit is this kind of thinking. Otherwise, he would not be so successful. Speaking of the space carrier, Nick Fury really hurts. This thing, it costs a lot to build a ship. S.H.I.E.L.D. had 1 ship before, and now 3 more have been built, which almost exhausted S.H.I.E.L.D.'s wealth. And the problem is, as long as Nick Fury wants to give Lin Yu one, he doesn't have the right. Consultant Lin, although I am the chief of S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't have the right to send it to this space carrier, Nick Fury said with a wry smile. Lin Yu then asked doubtfully, your chief has no power yet? Nick Fury said, the director must also accept the supervision of the superior department, the above will not allow it. What is the superior department? The World Security Council. Lin Yu suddenly showed a smile on his face. Nick Fury was taken aback for a moment. Yes. The superior department is indeed the World Security Council. All major decisions of S.H.I.E.L.D. require the approval of the World Security Council. But is it still needed now? The ministers of the World Security Council are all Hydra, and they need to approve them. Nick Fury seems to want to understand. Then, give you one? Nick Fury said weakly. He felt that Lin Yu did have some big mouths. But I can't help it now. Even if you don't send it, wait for the 3 space carriers to fly into the sky, they will not be the property of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's better to take out a ship as a reward at this moment. Lin Yu seemed to see Nick Fury's thoughts. Suddenly he said, Director Fury, I must reiterate that this space carrier is not your reward. I dealt with Hydra only out of an ordinary person's hatred of evil forces. Space Mothership, it's just a gift you gave me to thank me, not a reward, understand? Lin Yu said solemnly, saying that the pay is not very good. It's like making a profit with yourself. Nick Fury nodded sadly. Said, I understand. This is a gift I gave to consultant Lin. It has nothing to do with remuneration. We are not an employment relationship either. Nick Fury is very on the road. Lin Yu is very happy. A blank piece of paper appeared in Lin Yu's hand instantly, and handed it to Nick Fury's eyes. Write it. Write a gift certificate. Lin Yu's face was extremely excited. In this life, I did not expect to have a space carrier. Cool. Nick Fury picked up the white paper that Lin Yu handed over, and began to write with a bitter expression on his face. Today, I, S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Nick Fury, on behalf of S.H.I.E.L.D., present Mr. Lin Yu a space carrier, the space carrier number 001, hereby certify. Attribution. Nick Fury, the system is decisively not absent from this moment of celebration. Just the moment Nick Fury signed his name, in Lin Yu's mind, a system prompt suddenly appeared. Ding. The space mothership 001 became the property of the host, and was excited. I felt that I needed to be better to be worthy of the romantic owner. I decided to upgrade my own system, which can be remotely controlled by the owner, and the remote control app has been it is automatically downloaded to the host's mobile phone. Please study by the host. Ding. The space mothership 001 is very excited. In order to welcome the arrival of the owner, it actively awakening the automatic cleaning and automatic repairing ability, maintaining the best condition and tidy at all times, welcome the owner to board at any time. Ding. Space Mothership 001, in order to enable its owner to never need to worry about fuel, automatically awakening unlimited energy, can sail forever, never stop. Nick Fury passed the gift certificate in his hand to Lin Yu. Lin Yu didn't even look at it and put it aside. It doesn't seem to care what the looks like. Then, instead of worrying about Nick Fury, who was looking bitter, he just picked up the phone and studied it. Really? On my mobile phone, a new app appeared. The icon of this app looks like an aerospace carrier. After opening, a model of a space carrier appeared inside. It seems you can order anywhere. For example, if you click on a weapon on a space carrier, various options will appear. Attack frequency, number of attacks, attack range, attack according to the map range, select the attack target. With a series of options, Lin Yu is dazzled. How to control this special cat? Lin Yu said to himself. Sudden. Lin Yu's inspiration flashed. Thought of a wonderful note. Lin Yu pushed the door directly and walked into the garage. At the moment, the Bumblebee had recovered its car appearance and was sitting quietly in the garage. Lin Yu came next to the Hornet and said, Bumblebee, I have a mobile app here that is used to control a space carrier. Can you control it? The technology on the Hornet is very strong. If you let it control, it should be much simpler. Bumblebee's upper body suddenly stretched out a hand, took the phone, and after looking at it, directly connected the phone to his body with a data cable. 3 or 4 seconds later, Bumblebee said faintly, Boss, I can control it. Immediately afterwards, Bumblebee returned the phone to Lin Yu. Lin Yu said excitedly, You hold your phone first, and I will let you control the space carrier to do something. But Bumblebee did not pick up the phone. Instead, he said, Boss, I don't need that phone anymore. I have downloaded the app for controlling the space carrier onto my car. F*K? It's all okay. Lin Yu stayed for a while, then smiled more excitedly. At the moment, S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, Hill agent finally escaped. As a 9th level agent, she has many methods. And, to her a little surprise, her escape did not receive much attention. Those Hydra members don't seem to care about themselves. Escaped easily. She also understood that it should be those Hydra members who are concentrating on controlling the 3 space carriers, and there is no time to control themselves. Otherwise, it will not be easy to escape under the eyelids of hundreds of Hydra members. But, although Hill had escaped, her mood did not relax. If you really let Hydra launch 3 space carriers into the air, then you will definitely become the first batch of strike targets. At that time, The result of escaping and not escaping will be the same. Standing behind the SHIELD headquarters building, looking at the SHIELD headquarters building, which suddenly became brightly lit in the middle of the night, Hill Agent felt very heavy. And, at the moment, on the ground next to the SHIELD building, a door suddenly and slowly opened. Immediately afterwards, a platform has risen below. On that huge amounts of platform, the 3 space carriers seem to be fully prepared. Ready. Seeing this picture, Hill Agent's face changed suddenly. Unexpectedly, everything came so fast. It seems that there is no chance to stop Hydra at all. SHIELD headquarters building. Insight Plan Master Control Room. At the moment, the lights are bright here. There are people in every seat. Each of them is an undercover agent of Hydra in SHIELD. Although sitting here now, all their identities are exposed. However, it has been lurking for so many years, so that it is the situation today. The central location of the Master Control Room. Minister Pierce's face was calm, quietly looking at the various data given on the screen in front of him. Behind him, Bald Hitwell smiled. He is also one of the Hydra members who sneaked into SHIELD, and his position in SHIELD is not low. At the moment, it looked like Pierce's assistant. In addition to Pierce and Hitwell, Rumlow, who has been serving as the captain of the special service team at SHIELD, also took his own team members and started patrols inside and outside the SHIELD building, just to ensure that the Insight Plan can be executed perfectly. At this moment, in the general control room of the Insight Plan, Pierce looked around, then slowly asked, "How's it going? When can you take off?" Sitwell behind him hurriedly checked, and then said, "Except for some living quarters that have not been dealt with, the others are almost the same, and they should be ready to take off at any time." What Hitwell said was not very sure, but this action was already hasty. He was actually very ambitious in his heart. If the liftoff is unsuccessful, the entire organization of Hydra will be completely ruined. At that time, waiting for their destiny, there is only death. Pierce also understands this. But he has no other way. After all, Nick Fury was not killed. With the director of SHIELD, every minute of delay, he will face the risk of huge amounts of. So, Pierce can only bet everything on these 3 space carriers. The algorithms on these 3 space carriers have been completely changed. When the 3 space carriers lift off and reach a predetermined altitude, it is the time for Hydra to fully take off. By the time, even if it can block the missiles, the grocery store cannot block the bullets and powerful laser weapons pouring on the space carrier. Whether it is President Millikan, the military boss, or the powerful superhero, they will all be beaten into a sieve. Then take off, Pierce said calmly. He is actually very nervous. But, as a leader, he must not put tension on his face. That will affect the entire Hydra collective. Pierce gave an order. The entire general control room became busy in an instant. Although the 3 aerospace carriers have a high degree of automation, they also require a lot of people to give instructions when they take off. 2 minutes later, finally, all preparations were completed. "Go ahead," Pierce said slowly. Not far in front of him, there are 3 Hydra members sitting quietly in front of the computer screen. Each of the 3 of them controls the ignition and launch of a space carrier. At the moment, the guy on the far left who controls the space carrier 001 started the countdown first. Ready to fire. Countdown. 10 inches. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Boom. Outside the SHIELD headquarters building, there was a sudden violent engine roar. With a slight shaking, the space carrier 001 slowly began to lift off. But the Hydra member who controls the mothership 001, but his face was dumbfounded. "What's the situation?" He was dumbfounded. "My hand hasn't pressed the launch button yet. The countdown is not over yet. Why did the space carrier 001 lift off by itself? Damn it. What's the situation?" The ground operator of the space carrier looked at the launch button in front of him with a blank expression, and then at his hand that had not been pressed down. There was an extremely strange feeling in my heart. At this moment, he looked around, wanting to see the reactions of the other members. But it's weird. Excitement appeared on everyone's faces. It seems that there is nothing wrong with it. Even Pierce, the leader of Hydra, who stood behind him, was extremely excited, and his calm face was already showing a win-winner smile. "Did they think it was because my hand was shaking and I thought of pressing the launch button in advance?" The ground operator of the 001 aircraft carrier secretly said. "It's definitely not that he accidentally pressed the wrong one." When the ground operator of the 001 aircraft carrier yelled, the aircraft carrier suddenly ignited, and everyone thought he accidentally pressed the switch ahead of time. Even Pierce and Hitwell thought so, but in their hearts, they were not angry because of this incident. After all, everyone is nervous now. It is normal to press the wrong one. And 2 seconds ahead, no big deal. Even Pierce doesn't blame the ground operator at all. As long as it can be lifted up steadily, everything is perfect. Looking at the big screen outside the window, the space carrier 001 slowly rises, and Pierce's heart is also like a boulder landing. Roar let out a long breath. As long as it can take off, everything will be fine. And as long as it can take off a space carrier, Hydra is already invincible. Pierce even wanted to laugh. But considering the current situation, he still held back. There was just a smile that couldn't help but appeared on his face. At this moment, the ground operator of the space carrier 001 is preparing to report to Pierce. But at the moment, Pierce suddenly said, "Don't hesitation, continue to launch the second space carrier." Suddenly, the entire general control room became busy again. What the ground operator of aircraft carrier 001 wanted to say suddenly got stuck in his throat and didn't say it. He suddenly felt that it seemed that it was not the time to talk about this kind of thing. When the leader is happy, if he makes trouble now, it is estimated that Pierce will be thrown out immediately. The ground operator of space carrier 001 turned around slowly, not talking. Although there is still a faint anxiety on his face. But I can only hide that anxiety deeply in my heart. At the moment, the ground operator of the space carrier 002 next to him has started the countdown. 10, 9, 8, boom, boom, boom. This time, even did not shout, and a violent voice came from outside. However, this sound was not at all like the roar of an engine. 0 and more like explosion. Everyone couldn't help but craned their necks and looked out through the window. This look suddenly turned into a shock. All Hydra members were stunned, because a very strange scene suddenly appeared outside. Just ascended to the sky, the space carrier 001, which is not as high as the SHIELD headquarters building, suddenly opened fire on the space carrier 002 and the space carrier 003 that have not yet taken off. What's the situation? Who controls it? Not only the Hydra members present were dumbfounded, even the leader of Pierce was incredulous. Could it be? Are there spies among the Hydra members? Pierce was suddenly distraught. The sound of artillery and explosions outside is still constantly sounding. The 2 space carriers that have not yet launched will be completely scrapped. How can he not be anxious? Who is it? Who controls space carrier 001? Pierce shouted. Rumlow, who was on guard at the door, heard Pierce's roar and rushed in with a weapon. In an instant, the situation in the general control room became tense. Everyone was terrified by Pierce's roar. All hurriedly took back the hands on the control buttons or the keyboard, wanting to prove their innocence. The scene suddenly became messy. At this time, no one dared to make any movement. If it is mistaken for a spy, there is absolutely no good fruit to eat. There won't even be interrogation. You can just take a gun. But at this time, the ground operator of the space carrier 001 suddenly said weakly, "Minister, the space carrier 001 was launched by itself. I did not press the launch button." Heard this sentence. Pierce's face suddenly darkened. F*K. Why didn't you tell me in advance? Pierce is furious. At such a critical moment, even such important news is not reported. Pierce even drew his pistol and pointed it at that guy's head. Prepare to destroy this damned fellow with a shot. He raised his pistol, his eyes seemed to be burning with anger. But never shot, because shooting will not solve the current problem. The 2 space carriers that have not yet been launched are obviously no longer good. And now, the only hope is the space carrier 001 in the sky. Although Pierce still couldn't figure out why the space carrier 001 would fire on the other 2 space carriers, he knew that he must now focus on how to control the space carrier 001. And the ground operator of the space carrier 001 in front of us is very important. Although there is only one space carrier, it is not perfect. But if a space carrier is launched, Hydra can also control the world. It can also get rid of those who threaten Hydras and those who are about to threaten the development of Hydra. Pierce's hands trembled a little, but he was still steady and didn't shoot. He resisted the anger in his heart, and then took the gun back. Rumlow, hurry up and find out who the traitor is. Other people, give me a hurry to find a way to control that damned space carrier 001. Get in touch with the people on the space carrier 001 and let them find the cause of the fire. Pierce's 3 orders made the entire control room busy again. Rumlow started looking for the traitor one by one. After being interrogated, those who had no problems began to find a way to control the space carrier on the ground. Hitwell, behind Pierce, hurriedly contacted the captain on the space carrier 001. Yes. There is indeed a captain on the space carrier 001. Also from Hydra. But now the captain on the space carrier 001 is more frightened than the people on the ground. Because he found that he and his employees could not control this space carrier. Although the control screen still displays various data on the space carrier as usual, it can't be controlled in any way. When the controller showed that the weapons of the space carrier 001 all pointed to the other 2 space carriers, the captain hurriedly ordered the weapon system to be shut down. But all this is in vain. The space carrier 001 still opened fire. When receiving the Hitwell communication, the captain didn't even know how to explain it. "What do you want to do? Why are you firing at the other 2 space carriers?" Sitwell shouted loudly. From the communicator, the captain heard a shivering explanation. "No, I didn't order the fire. This space carrier is out of control." In the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, in the general control room of the Insight Project, Pierce snatched the communicator from Hitwell. Angrily roared, "Give me a hurry to investigate what the situation is. If there is another accident, you will die for me." Pierce was really angry. It would have been successful. Unexpectedly, such an accident would happen, but at the moment, in the communicator, the captain did not speak. In other words, his voice did not come through the communicator. Instead, there was a slightly light voice. "Pierce, why are you so loud and cruel to your subordinates? I can't stand it anymore." Pierce, who was holding the communicator, was stunned. Whose voice is this? Obviously, it was not the voice of the captain of the space carrier 001. But who is still on that space carrier? Something is wrong. Quite wrong. "Who are you?" Pierce asked coldly. An ominous premonition suddenly appeared in his heart. In the communicator, the voice spoke again. "Hey, are you so forgetful? A few days ago, I called Winter Soldier to kill me, but I didn't succeed. Just now, I sent hundreds of people to kill me, but I didn't succeed. The missile blew me up, although it didn't succeed. But do you think Lin Yu is a bully?" Pierce was completely stunned. Lin Yu. When Lin Yu said that he sent Winter Soldier to assassinate him, Pierce guessed who the voice was. Until finally Lin Yu directly stated his identity, Pierce's heart was even more surging. Lin Yu. Why did he appear in the communication between himself and the space carrier? Is he on a space carrier? Or maybe he hacked into the space carrier's system. Why? This guy just saved Nick Fury. Is he going to stop the launch of the space carrier again? "What do you want?" Pierce said coldly. He didn't know how to refute Lin Yu at all. He did all those things. Pierce looked at the busy men around him, and could only choose to delay time. If Lin Yu hacked the control system of the space carrier, I believe that his subordinates will soon resolve the loopholes and flush and control the space carrier. What benefit did Nick Fury give you? You have to work for him. What he can give you, I can give you 3 times. No, 10 times. In the grocery store, Lin Yu took the phone, turned on the hands-free, and smiled at what Pierce said. And Nick Fury, as if lost his soul, slumped on the chair with no strength. He is uncomfortable, very helpless, because he had heard the explosion from a distance just now. I have also reported to Lin Yu through Bumblebee and learned how Bumblebee resolved this crisis. Did not expect. It turned out to be controlling one of the space carriers and sinking the other 2. That's a space carrier, no ordinary airplane tank. The cost of a space carrier is astronomical, and now, of the 3 space carriers, 1 was given to Lin Yu, and the other 2 were scrapped by Lin Yu. S.H.I.E.L.D. finally has no hair left, it can be said. In this battle, even if S.H.I.E.L.D. wins in the end, it will suffer heavy losses. Since you can control 1 ship, why not directly control 3 ships? What are you doing if you have to scrap the remaining 2 ships? Is it possible that Lin Yu wants to make his space carrier unique? Nick Fury now has no joy of victory at all. Only a wry smile. But although Nick Fury felt bitter, he didn't say anything. After all, Lin Yu's approach is not right, but at least he helped him win. At the moment, hearing Pierce's words on the phone, Lin Yu frowned suddenly. Although the system did not determine that Pierce was scolding himself. But Lin Yu felt that this sentence was not pleasant. What does it mean to work for Nick Fury? What does Nick Fury give yourself to benefit? It feels like I took advantage of the danger and took his reward. Are you such a person? Are you insulting me? Lin Yu said coldly. On the other side of the phone, Pierce was obviously taken aback. He didn't seem to figure out where he was insulting each other. He clearly just wanted to delay for a while, but before Pierce could answer, Lin Yu hung up the phone. Then, turning his head, he said to the Hornet in the garage, "Hornet, blow up all those nasty guys to me, blow up all that building for me." Sitting opposite Lin Yu, Nick Fury, with a look of bitterness, suddenly raised his head when he heard Lin Yu's words. His eyes were full of shock. What? Blast that building flat. That building. Damn it. Except for the SHIELD headquarters building, there seems to be no other building nearby. Don't. Nick Fury hurriedly wanted to stop Lin Yu's impulsive behavior. That is SHIELD's last property. If you want to kill the Hydra gang, you don't have to blow up the entire building. Boom. 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 Before Nick Fury could speak, he heard a violent explosion from a distance, and the sky was full of flames. A few seconds ago, in the SHIELD headquarters, in the general control room of the Insight Project, Pierce stared blankly at the communicator that had been hung up by the other party. A look dumbfounded. This guy named Lin Yu. Why doesn't he play his cards at all? Where did I insult him? My purpose is obviously just to delay time. He actually hung up the phone. What the hell? Don't talk at all? Pierce's face was getting colder and colder. He ordered again. Give me a hurry to figure out a way to kick that nasty guy out of my spaceship. Give you 1 minute, hurry up and regain control of my space carrier. Pierce roared frantically. This is Hydra's last chance. However, at this time, Pierce suddenly looked through the window in front of him and saw the weapons under the space carrier 001 outside, and they turned their directions. The muzzle and the muzzle were all aimed at the SHIELD headquarters building. Oh my. What does he want to do? F*K. Pierce's heart suddenly chilled. In the main control room, all Hydra members stood up from their seats in fright. As one of the executors of the Insight Plan, they are well aware of the power of the weapons on this space carrier. And now, these weapons were all aimed at yourself. This would it really fire? Do not. Will definitely fire. Despair has appeared in everyone's hearts. Just now this space carrier has already attacked the other two. The people on the two space carriers have all been killed. It is now pointed at the SHIELD headquarters building. Then, do you still have a chance to escape? Everyone knows that as long as the other party wants to kill themselves, then there is absolutely no possibility of escape. The SHIELD headquarters building is too high. And this master control room is on the 20th floor. Even if you take the elevator down right now, it is impossible to have time. But the human desire to survive is very strong. Everyone on the scene began to run out frantically. Crowded, trampled, wailing. Everything is messed up. Even Pierce, who was standing in the center of the main control room, was pushed a few times. In the face of death, even these Hydra members could not endure the fear in their hearts. In the whole room, only Pierce did not run out. Because, he knew, he couldn't run out at all. And even if he ran out, as the leader of Hydra, he would definitely be caught by SHIELD. Give up. In Pierce's heart, he had already given up. There was a wry smile on his face. Did not expect. After planning for decades, he was defeated by the owner of a small grocery store. Perhaps this is my destiny. Perhaps I shouldn't provoke the guy named Lin Yu. The weapons on the space carrier were all lit up. The fire was blazing. There was also a trace of regret on Pierce's face. If I didn't send Winter Soldier to assassinate him, but I personally went over to give him some benefits, it might not end up like this. Boom. 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 Accompanied by violent artillery fire, the SHIELD headquarters building was finally completely turned into ruins. Near the SHIELD headquarters building, Hill Agent finally stopped panting. Just now, when the space carrier 001 started to attack that building, Hill Agent was instantly frightened. She started to run out frantically. The strong physique of the elite agent saved her. In the end, he ran out of the collapsed building. But at this moment, she turned her head and looked at the original SHIELD headquarters building, dumbfounded. The building is gone. After several minutes of violent bombing, the entire SHIELD headquarters building has been completely turned into ruins. It is estimated that none of the people inside will survive. Hill Agent patted his chest, secretly rejoicing. Fortunately, he escaped in time. Otherwise, it will definitely be the same as those Hydra. Nick Fury was completely desperate. He felt that SHIELD estimated that he would have a hard time in the future. In the past, S.H.I.E.L.D. was always poor. Very little funding. Until the last Battle of New York. The above seems to see the role of S.H.I.E.L.D. in dealing with alien invasions, so the funding input has been increased. These funds have been used by S.H.I.E.L.D. to build buildings and build space carriers. But, in one night, all funding became a bubble. Both the building and the space carrier are gone. Nick Fury wants to cry without tears. Lin Yu's grocery store is not very far from the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters building. Therefore, Nick Fury can even hear the roar of the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters building falling to the ground, as well as the slight vibration from the ground. It's too late to stop now. Nick Fury slowly sat back on the chair under his hips again. In his heart, he seemed to be thinking, asking Lin Yu for help, is it right or wrong to fall on the ground? Grocery store. At the moment when the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters building collapsed. In Lin Yu's mind, the system prompt sounded again. Ding. Congratulations to the host for his in-depth participation in the Marvel Core plot, the Captain United States 2 Insight Project plot. But since the main characters of the United States Captain Steve and Winter Soldier Bucky did not appear in the final battlefield, 60% of the reward was deducted in the end. Awarded 2 plot points. After receiving the system prompt, Lin Yu had predicted in advance. But, unexpectedly, there are only 2 points. According to previous standards, the plot of this final battle should have at least 5 points. Moreover, in this plot, Hydra is completely disintegrated, and 5 plot points are considered reasonable. But, unexpectedly, there are only 2 points. The system description is also very clear. There are only 2 reasons, because the Captain of the United States and Winter Soldier did not appear in the core plot. In the movie, this final battle is actually the final battle between Steve and Bucky. But, due to the appearance of Lin Yu, their role in the final duel was lost. This is embarrassing. But 2 o'clock is 2 o'clock. Lin Yu feels that at least he has gained a lot. Now the total plot point on himself has reached 18 points. It's not far from a clock. And, the most important thing is that in this plot, I also harvested a space carrier. That's a space carrier. S.H.I.E.L.D's space carrier is very powerful, able to go to the sky, go to the sea, and be invisible. It's a must for travel. Lin Yu has already thought about it, and in a few days he will hire some staff for the grocery store, and then take Sharon and Wanda out to travel. First take a space carrier to travel around the world. Have a good rest. Bumblebee, drive back the space carrier and just stop above us. Lin Yu indifferently ordered. Anyway, this space carrier has mutated and has unlimited energy, so it will fly straight in the sky. When you want to go up to play, just let Bumblebee send yourself up. But, compared to Lin Yu's excitement, Nick Fury on the side is a bit sad. Hearing that Lin Yu was about to drive the space carrier back, his expression became even more bitter. Nick Fury didn't expect that he worked so hard for a long time, but in the end it was all cheaper Lin Yu. Definitely. It's not just myself. Hydra is also clear enough. Nothing was fished. It seems that being Lin Yu's enemy is not easy. It's not better to be a teammate. Nick Fury even wondered whether he should keep a distance from Lin Yu in the future. If you can have less contact, you can have less contact. As long as it is not the enemy, it is in the best state. Consultant Lin, I'll go now. There is probably a lot of mess at S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters that needs me to go back and deal with it. Nick Fury said weakly to Lin Yu. Hydra should be almost completely dead. However, the mess of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not small. Hearing Nick Fury's goodbye, Lin Yu's face showed a trace of reluctance. It's so late, don't you leave without taking a break? I have a guest room here, Lin Yu said sincerely. I'll go back first. In this case, I don't think I have time to rest, Nick Fury said apologetically. Lin Yu could only nod his head. Nick Fury turned and left. Behind him, Lin Yu seemed to think of something suddenly, and then said, or, I will send you a space carrier. Far away. Nick Fury, who had just walked into the street, was suddenly stunned. Did not turn around, just stretched out a hand and waved. The back looks a bit lonely. Slowly disappeared into the night. Nick Fury did not really go back to S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. Not long after leaving Lin Yu's grocery store, the United States Captain Steve arrived in front of Nick Fury on a motorcycle. Both he and Natasha Romanoff have received calls from Hill. I already know what happened in S.H.I.E.L.D. The two of them were divided into 2 groups. Natasha Romanoff went to S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. And Steve came to Lin Yu's grocery store. Actually, Steve is a little scared. For Lin Yu, he has a natural fear. It seemed that when they first met, Lin Yu shocked him too much. But Fortunately, before arriving at Lin Yu's grocery store, he met Nick Fury, who was rotted halfway. When the two met, it was as if they had met their relatives. Quite kind. Tears filled his eyes. Accompanied by the roar of the motorcycle, Steve took Nick Fury to the location of the SHIELD headquarters. Do not. It should be called a ruin. At the moment, the SHIELD headquarters has completely turned into a pile of rubble. There is a mess of reinforced concrete everywhere. And hundreds of members of Hydra have all been buried underneath. Except for occasionally seeing one or two arms or thighs, the others are completely missing. And also, on the ground in the distance, the two space carriers that had not had time to take off also turned into two piles of scrap iron. It is estimated that it is extremely difficult to repair, and it is no different from rebuilding two ships. Standing in front of these piles of ruins, Nick Fury felt heavy. This feeling is like when SHIELD just took over more than 10 years ago. No, at that time, it was also called the National Land Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau. A bunch of mess. Nick Fury looked at Steve, the captain of the United States standing next to him, sighed, and said weakly, "Hey, I actually wanted to find you at the beginning." When Nick Fury was just attacked, he really wanted to find Steve. But then, for some reason, the ghost went to the grocery store. Think about it now. I might as well go find Steve. At least the current situation should not be so bad. Looking at the ruins in front of him, Nick Fury felt like he didn't know where to start. Is it to rebuild at the original address, or to change it? Nick Fury sighed deeply. The war was won, but he couldn't be happy anyhow. At the moment, Hawkeye Barton and Phil Coulson also came to the scene. Nick Fury has almost all of the core players of SHIELD. Even Dr. Bruce Banner arrived overnight. Although he has always been hiding himself, since the Battle of New York, he has also begun to integrate into this small group. In addition to the fact that General Rose has not heard much recently, his life can be considered easy. Definitely, he didn't know the news that General Ross was dead. Of the Avengers, it seems that Thor and Tony Stark are not present. Definitely. Thor is obviously far away and it is not easy to come here. He will definitely not come back for such a trivial matter. And Tony, he's not in a good mood recently. There is no other reason. Because his bodyguard, Harpy Hogan, who is also his most trusted person, was seriously injured in an explosion. It's been a few days since I was in a coma. These days, Tony Stark has been tracking down the explosions. Desperate. And these explosions are very strange and dangerous. There is no source of explosion at all. However, the power of the explosion is great. And the temperature is very high. Very strange. At the same time, in a secret abandoned warehouse, Killian, a scientist who had contact with Lin Yu once, was injecting extremists. This base is not the one before. Last time, after Lin Yu found them, Killian became more cautious. So, changed another place. This place is more remote and more hidden. It seems that Lin Yu can't find him anymore. This allowed Killian to resume studying extremists with Maya Hansen with peace of mind. But it is not the first time Killian has been injected with extremists. This is his 5th injection. It was Maya Hansen who gave him the injection. Last time, Lin Yu injected extremists in front of him, and after success, he immediately injected the remaining bottle of extremists. But what disappointed him was, although I succeeded, the shortcomings of extremists still exist. I have to re-inject it every once in a while to ensure the activity of extremists. Killian was puzzled. Why does that guy have no sequelae after the injection, but he can't? For this matter, Killian and Maya Hansen once again carried out crazy research. Their scientific research level is indeed very high. Unexpectedly, under Lin Yu's stimulation, after a few weeks, the two had initially completed a more perfect extremis. Although it is not as good as the extremis injected by Lin Yu, it is much better than the extremis that Killian first injected. At this moment, Killian's ambition was gradually exposed. He began to secretly manipulate some obscure things. And also started revenge against Tony Stark. Although all the plans were carried out in secret, Killian didn't tell Maya Hansen. But Maya Hansen still noticed something. This time, after the extremis injection, Maya Hansen quietly left this new secret base. She still retains a touch of favor with Tony Stark. And before Lin Yu left last time, she reminded her to leave Killian as soon as possible. As Extremis becomes more and more perfect, she also feels more and more that the words Lin Yu said at the beginning are really reminding herself. But before, Extremis really attracted her. In her opinion, this is simply the future of mankind. For Extremis, she can only stay with Killian all the time. Only. Except for studying Extremis, she would not participate in any other bad things. Definitely. Killian won't let her participate. Maya Hansen, who had left the secret base, came to Tony's house. Be prepared to remind Tony that something terrible will happen to him. The other side. Killian had always been wary of Maya Hansen in his heart. This woman, Killian was completely disappointed in Lin Yu last time. It's just that Extremis's research still needs her. And now, Extremis has basically stabilized. The Extremis on his body has been improved, and the hidden danger has been very small. He can finally implement his plan. In Killian's heart, there are 3 things that must be done. The first and most important one is to take revenge on Tony Stark. That is my own heart knot after all. The second is to kill the President of the United States by controlling, and to control the entire United States by controlling the upper position of the Vice President. This is Killian's biggest ambition. The third thing is also very important. That is, take revenge on Lin Yu. He has obtained some information from Lin Yu through various inquiries. After all, Lin Yu has never really hidden himself. So, it is easy to know Lin Yu's information and location. After being scared by Lin Yu, he became more and more crazy. Now, there are hundreds of people who have injected Extremis alone. These fighters all possess terrifying single strength. The force is infinite, it can release high temperature, and it also has a strong recovery ability. Killian's confidence is getting stronger and stronger. And Killian knew very well about Maya Hansen's whereabouts. Since Lin Yu left that time, he has secretly installed a positioning device on Maya Hansen's body. So, Killian knew the position of Maya Hansen very well. Even thanks to Maya Hansen, Killian knows where Tony is. At the moment, in the secret base, Killian summoned all his men. Hundreds of fighters injected with Extremis, all obeyed Killian's orders. After Killian gave an order, 3 actions start at the same time. Lin Yu is very excited. I was a little excited and couldn't sleep. So are Wanda and Sharon. Especially when you hear the roar from above the roof. The 3 of them were so excited. If Nick Fury is still here now, and seeing the expressions of the 3, it is estimated that his mentality will explode. This is one of the reasons why he left the grocery store in a hurry. If you really see Lin Yu happily welcoming his space carrier, Nick Fury definitely wants to find a seam to get in. It felt like 2 people went to buy lottery tickets together, but exchanged a bit, and vowed that they would never regret after winning the lottery. In the end, it was discovered that Lin Yu had won the lottery ticket. However, the lottery ticket was clearly bought by myself. Nick Fury is convinced, but he will suffer to death. Excited 3 people. I can't even care about sleeping. I got on the Hornet, even took Airha, and flew to the space carrier. The scenery tonight is exceptionally beautiful. Especially on the deck of the space carrier, the breeze is faint and the stars in the sky are pleasing to the eye. Airha happily rolled on the deck. In this era of expensive housing prices, it is a miracle to own a space carrier that can move at any time and at least have thousands of rooms. There is even such a large open-air balcony on the space carrier. The eyes of all 3 are a little red. After all, staying up all night and playing cards with excitement, coupled with the fact that the sky is about to dawn and I am not sleeping, my eyes are about to be congested. But none of the 3 felt tired. Enclosed directly, the planning for the space carrier began. A swimming pool is to be built here, and a chess and card room is to be built there. Even Wanda has to get the grocery store to the sky. Lin Yu hurriedly rejected this point. Who would fly to the sky to buy things stupidly? Move to the sky, then how to do business, at this moment. While the 3 of them were working hard on how to transform the space carrier, the Hornet suddenly spoke. Just now, Bumblebee had been playing with Airha on the deck. It was a joy to play. At the moment, suddenly came to Lin Yu and the 3 of them. Boss, there seems to be something abnormal on the ground. Would you like to take a look? Bumblebee said. The 3 were slightly taken aback. What's the situation on the ground? With doubts, the 3 people came to the control room of the space carrier. It is quite luxurious here. The round hall is surrounded by glass, so you can see all the scenery outside. All around are filled with various advanced instruments, and even computer monitors are transparent. Full of science fiction, but, at this moment, the 3 did not have time to appreciate these sci-fi equipment. Because Bumblebee has automatically transmitted the image on the ground to a large screen in front of the 3. The picture is very clear. It was taken by the high-definition camera on the space carrier. At the moment, the sun has not yet risen from the ground level. The sky is still a little dark, but the weird thing is, on Manhattan's 58th Avenue, near Lin Yu's grocery store, a group of people appeared. These people are dressed differently, but they are all young people. They seem to wander aimlessly, but looking from the sky, they can faintly tell that they are slowly approaching the grocery store. There seems to be a stance to surround the grocery store. These guys are not as organized and disciplined as Hydra soldiers, and they don't seem to have received much training. But this is too abnormal. At this point in time, it is impossible for so many people to appear on the street at the same time. Although the young people in Manhattan are very busy, they shouldn't all come to the streets to hang out before the sun comes out. Seeing this scene, all three Lin Yu frowned. Is it possible that it is organized and purposeful to find things? Who is it? Hydra has just been eliminated. Is it possible that there are other forces? Even Lin Yu is a little confused. At the same time, when many people suddenly appeared outside Lin Yu grocery store, Tony Stark's house also welcomed a group of guests. They are not many, but they came in a gunship. These people are the second group of people. They are also Killian's men. After Lin Yu's stimulation, Killian almost went crazy and expanded his team. Countless people joined his team. At the same time, everyone who joins will be given extremis by Killian. Killian almost has an army composed entirely of soldiers who have been injected with extremis. At the moment, Killian is commanding from his secret base. On the two armed helicopters, a guy sitting in the co-pilot said to the communicator, "Boss, you have reached the vicinity of Tony Stark's house. Do you want to attack directly?" In the secret base, Killian showed an excited smile on his face, and ordered, "Attack immediately and send me all the people there into hell." With Killian's order, on the two helicopters, several missiles were ignited at the same time. Boom boom boom. The terrifying explosion sounded through the sky. Immediately afterwards, a few more missile attacks. Boom boom boom. Under the intensive firepower, Tony Stark's mansion was instantly turned into ruins. In the secret base, Killian was watching the video in front of him. When he saw that Tony Stark's mansion was completely destroyed, he finally realized the pleasure of revenge. This level of attack, even Tony can't resist it. And Killian's attack happened to be early in the morning, but the sun hadn't appeared yet. Under normal circumstances, this is the time when humans sleep most soundly. I'm afraid Tony Stark should have been killed by a missile in his sleep. Killian even laughed directly. After holding back for decades, I didn't expect to get revenge so easily. Boss, Tony Stark's house has been completely destroyed. It is estimated that the possibility of his survival is very small. Ask to return. The voice of his subordinates reported again from the communicator. Killian said calmly, "Go directly to Pier 2, received, boss." The two armed helicopters turned around and left slowly. But the people on the two helicopters were not found. Under the collapsed Tony Stark mansion, Tony is wearing a battlesuit, protecting two women. Recently, Tony has been a little anxious. He wears his steel battlesuit even when he sleeps. And under his crazy research during this period of time, the steel battlesuit has been updated for dozens of generations. Today, it is the 42nd generation of steel battlesuit. Whether it is in defensibility or in energy intensity, great progress has been made. A few missiles, for him, did not work at all. And you can also save Maya Hansen and Little Pepper in the panic. However, in order to save the two women, he didn't have the energy to deal with the two helicopters. In addition to dispatching gunships to deal with Tony Stark, and hundreds of extremis injections to deal with Lin Yu, Killian also had a more important secret operation. That is, get the United States back. This task, although it seems difficult. But for Killian, who has countless injections of extremis' men, it is not difficult. Coupled with the news from the vice president that revealed the top leader, this task has become even simpler. With just a few tricks, he grabbed the United States leader back and took it to the second pier that was already prepared. Here, he will use a live broadcast method to broadcast to the people across the country the scene of killing the United States leader. In the secret base, Killian's expression became more and more excited. There are 3 goals in total, and 2 have been almost completed. It seems that there is only one left, and for Lin Yu, he was very cautious, and he sent the most men. He only sent 8 men to deal with Tony Stark. To deal with the United States leaders sent 10 men. In order to deal with Lin Yu, he directly sent hundreds of men. These people are almost half of his power. With such emphasis, in his opinion, Lin Yu can never have a way to survive. Although the two women around Lin Yu look very strong, it is absolutely impossible to deal with 100 strong people who have been injected with extremists at once. This is not a close battle, at the moment. Killian also left his secret base, took a car, and drove towards Pier 2. While on the road, he finally received a report from his subordinates. 100 subordinates who had been injected with extremists had completely surrounded Lin Yu's grocery store. Just waiting for Killian's order, he will break in. Killian, who was sitting in the car, also took out his laptop and opened the video screen. He wants to see Lin Yu killed by his own men with his own eyes. Go! Killian commanded excitedly. The success of the first two actions gave Killian great confidence. The mighty Iron Man Tony Stark has been killed. Even the leader of the United States was caught by his own men. What else can't be done by yourself? Killian's confidence swelled extremely. The last time I saw Lin Yu, it really gave him a great psychological shadow. At the same time, it also made him understand that this world is not as simple as what he had seen before. Countless capable people and strangers are hidden in every corner of this world. But this kind of strength gap didn't make Killian decadent. On the contrary, it aroused his eagerness to win. He felt that the extremists he studied was not worse than other people's ability. Go! Killian gave an order. On the laptop monitor, hundreds of subordinates all acted. The three people standing in the front of the grocery store came directly to the door of the grocery store. The arms of the three people lit up at the same time. This kind of ability is unique after taking extremists. Every part of the body can emit up to thousands of degrees of high temperature. Anything will become fragile at this high temperature. Even metal will melt. Not to mention the ordinary metal rolling door in front of you. Killian's three subordinates showed contemptuous smiles at the corners of their mouths, and then put their two hands on the rolling door in front of them. The terrifying heat began to spread in the air. It is estimated that in less than 3 seconds, this rolling door will become a pool of molten iron. At that time, hundreds of powerful people who have been injected with extremists will be divided into two groups. One part rushes into the grocery store, and the other part is on guard outside. People in the grocery store will definitely hardly fly. The three of them actually sneered at their boss's arrangements in their hearts. With so many people dispatched at once, it is too high for this goal. It's useless to deal with that powerful Iron Man, so many people. But these people are Killian's most loyal men. It was Killian who gave them a second life, and the extremists on them is not perfect, and they need to be re-injected every once in a while. This is also one of Killian's methods to control them. So, they didn't question Killian's decision. Just a little bit confused and disdainful about this task. 3 people, 6 arms, pressed on the iron gate at the same time. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. 4 seconds. The 3 people were puzzled at the same time. They looked at the teammates next to them, and their eyes were full of surprise. It shouldn't. It's been so long, how come this iron gate hasn't melted? Not only did it not melt, it didn't even change at all. It didn't even get hot at all. This is impossible. The faces of all 3 people showed horror. A rolling door that looks a little shabby, how can it withstand such a high temperature? Moreover, even if it can withstand this high temperature, it shouldn't be unchanged at all. After half a minute, the 3 finally gave up. Slowly withdrew his hands from the rolling door. Their arms returned to their original appearances again. At the moment, the rolling door in front of them remained unchanged. Not only were these 3 people surprised, but those who stood behind them ready to rush in were also stunned. This situation has exceeded their expectations. They are the best at melting iron gates, but it was such a simple matter, but it stopped them outside. At this moment, one of the leading guys hurriedly reported to Killian in the communicator. "Boss, the door of this grocery store seems a bit strange, it doesn't seem to be too hot." At the moment, Killian had already seen this scene through the cameras mounted on some of his men. His expression is also a little puzzled, but he didn't care too much. Lin Yu is really weird, which is why he sent so many men at once. Since it can't melt, then forcefully break in. The iron gate was melted just to silence it. Since you can't sneak in quietly, then attack. Then you don't have to hide, just go in, Killian said coldly. The strong self-confidence has made Killian lose his patience. There are more important things waiting for me on the dock. More than 100 of my own subordinates can't spend endlessly in this place. Quick battle. Killian ordered again. With Killian's orders, these people finally didn't have to be cautious anymore. A trace of cleanliness appeared on their faces one after another. Since this rolling door is a bit weird and can't absorb heat, then attack. The few people behind suddenly took out a rifle from behind. Although this weapon has a short shooting range, it is still very useful for breaking doors. It only takes one shot and hit the lock position, and this kind of worn-out rolling door will be scrapped. Not to mention that several people fired at the same time. Boom 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 boom. Several rifles sounded at the same time. Sparks are splattering everywhere. But many people standing outside watching suddenly frowned. Something's wrong. This sound seems to be wrong. It's not like the sound of smashing the door. Then everyone took a closer look. Suddenly he was surprised again. This dilapidated rolling door is still unscathed. It seems that after a few shots, there is no change at all. There are no bullet holes, not even a bit of paint comes off. What's the situation? What material is this rolling door? Can actually resist a rifle? At the moment. Seeing that the rolling door couldn't break through, the guy in the lead didn't dare to ask Killian for instructions anymore. More than 100 people, and they are all strong people who have been injected with extremis. It is too embarrassing to have a rolling door. If this situation is reported, the boss must be furious. At this moment, the leader's face became cold, and he commanded again. Since this door is a bit weird, don't go in through the door, just knock the wall open. Hear this command. Everyone was excited. They are very clear about their own strengths. They all know how terrible their body is now. A small wall can be broken with just a light hit. They have tried it before. Nothing can stop their powerful bodies. Definitely. This rolling door does not count. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Under the leader's order, two extremely strong guys stepped forward. They all turned into the color of magma. There was even a flame on his body. After a slight run-up, quickly crashed into the walls on both sides of the rolling door. It took a long time to build 58th Avenue in Manhattan. The houses here were all built decades ago, and some even have a history of hundreds of years. Although it has been refurbished many times over such a long period of time, the walls have actually been crumbling long ago. These people, they have tried. Even if the wall is 1 meter thick, they can't stop them. Not to mention this kind of ancient walls, simply vulnerable. The two brawny men, both exuding high temperatures, were getting faster and faster, and ran straight into the wall of the grocery store. At the moment, on the space carrier, Lin Yu and two women are in the control room of the space carrier, watching this weird scene through the high-definition camera under the space carrier. When those people started to emit high temperatures, Lin Yu knew who they were. The two women naturally already knew, because the last time Lin Yu went to Killian and injected extremis, Wanda and Sharon were both present. Only, they didn't expect that it didn't take long until so many people had been injected with extremis. And what's even stranger is that they are attacking their own grocery store. Do not. This is not surprising. The strange thing is that they seem to have nothing to do with the door of the grocery store. It's been so long, but I didn't even break through. The two women naturally did not know that the shutter doors of the grocery store had become vibranium material. After all, the rolling door has just mutated, and it hasn't been half a day. Because of its special molecular structure, vibranium is almost indestructible. Moreover, because its molecules are relatively static, it makes it almost impossible to transfer heat and kinetic energy. So, only then will there be a situation where these people have nothing to do with it before. But when Wanda and Sharon looked at the two strong firemen who were about to forcibly crash into the wall of the grocery store, they suddenly became worried. The rolling door can block them, but can the wall of the grocery store? Wanda and Sharon turned their heads and looked at Lin Yu aside worriedly. Their eyes were full of inquiries. Do you want to go out and stop them? And at the moment, Lin Yu stalled with a dazed expression and said, I told you a long time ago that our grocery store has a problem. There have been so many shootings at the door. You have seen a bullet hole on the wall of our grocery store. Hearing Lin Yu's words, Wanda and Sharon were taken aback at the same time. It seems that there is such a thing, although I didn't pay much attention to this issue before. But now when they heard Lin Yu say this, they recalled a bit. The wall of the grocery store did not seem to have a bullet hole. Just now, those Hydra soldiers shot madly at Erha. It is impossible to hit the wall without bullets. Wrong. Not only on the wall, but also on the rolling door without any bullet holes. This is indeed abnormal. But there is no normal place in this grocery store. The two women seem to be basically used to it. At this time, Sharon asks suspiciously, "Boss, shall we just watch it here?" Without knowing it, Sharon had already picked up Mjolnir in his hand. Moreover, there was already a faint electric spark flickering on Mjolnir. Sharon seems to have become a lot more warlike since possessing the power of thunder and Mjolnir. I don't know whether it was Lin Yu's influence or Mjolnir's influence. Hearing Sharon's words, Lin Yu smiled. Then he said, "These people are just young people. When they can't attack our grocery store, they will go back. Then we will follow quietly to see where their nests are." A sly smile appeared on Lin Yu's face. Sharon and Wanda all smiled knowingly. It is more than words. This aerospace mothership with stealth function is simply out of sight, tracking young experts. On the space carrier, looking at the people below, there is always a sense of God's perspective. Definitely. There is also a morbid voyeuristic pleasure. Below, two red-blooded and strong guys finally ran into the wall with their shoulders after struggling to run. The faces of the people around had already showed a faint smile of excitement. They used to hide too deeply. Killian did not allow them to expose this terrifying power in front of ordinary people. So, they can only try the terrifying power contained in their bodies in certain hidden corners. And now, finally the plan began. They can finally let people all over the world realize their strength. And the grocery store in front of you, and the people in it, will be the first real victims. In a moving car, Killian has also been watching the scene. When he saw that two of his subordinates were about to smash the wall of the entire grocery store, a smile appeared on his face. This is the strength you should have after the extremis injection. No matter what it is, it can't stop one's footsteps. Killian has even begun to look forward to how wonderful the expression on Lin Yu's face will be when he sees more than 100 people glowing at the same time. Unexpectedly, the fear you brought me back then, I want to return it to you 100 times today, Killian said as if to himself. Killian muttered to himself, looking at the computer screen again. Bang. Bang. The sound of two huge amounts of one after another sounded. The two hit the wall of the grocery store at the same time. It looks powerful. It seemed that the whole grocery store shook. However, when people saw the picture in front of them, they were stunned. What's the situation? Not moving. There are no cracks on the wall of the grocery store. Not even a little change. The situation was exactly the same as when the shot hit the rolling door before. And at the moment, the two burly men had already collapsed to the ground. They just used too much force and knocked themselves out. Although their bodies can automatically repair the damage. But if my head has fainted, there is nothing to do. At the moment, the high temperature on the two of them gradually receded. Like two corpses, lying under the walls on both sides of the rolling door. This scene stunned everyone present. Their hearts are full of incredible. What wall is this? How could it be so hard? They have tried harder walls, and they can all break easily. However, the wall in front of you, which is known to be the old antique at a glance, does not move at all. If it is said that the rolling door was very hard just now, that's fine. At least it's metal. And the walls of this grocery store are obviously built up with bricks. Moreover, it is the unique red brick of decades ago. Even a brand new red brick is not very strong. Not to mention things from decades ago. Although there were more than 100 people on the scene suddenly quieted strangely. Killian naturally saw this scene. His brows frowned slightly, and the smile on his face had disappeared. The current situation is somewhat beyond his expectations. He admitted that Lin Yu and the two women around him are very powerful, but the problem now is that the team he sent hasn't even seen the other side. You can't even get in this little grocery store. The situation is weird to the extreme. At this moment, the voice of his subordinates came again on the phone. In the voice, there seemed to be a slight trembling. "Boss, this grocery store seems a bit weird, we can't break its defenses." Fart defense. It's not a game, but Killian didn't get angry with his men, because he has been watching the entire attack on Lin Yu's grocery store. The weirdness of the grocery store, he could see clearly through the computer screen. It's not that the subordinates are not strong, but the grocery store is too weird. But even if it is weird, Lin Yu must be taken down today. Okay, I see, you are there on standby and no one is allowed to come out of that grocery store, Killian commanded coldly. Immediately afterwards, he dialed the phone numbers above and below the two armed helicopters just now. "Where are you? How far are you from the Target grocery store number 3? Killian asked. During the phone call, the subordinate on the helicopter replied, Boss, we are very close to there now, about a 5-minute flight. Killian's mouth curled slightly and said, Go and support Team 3. The grocery store seems a bit weird. Use missiles to explode it for me. Received, boss. On the co-pilot of one of the helicopters, the squad leader hung up the phone. But there was some doubt on his face. What's wrong? When arranging tasks, the strength of the third team is the strongest. There are hundreds of them. The combined number of the other two teams is not as much as that of the third team. How could it be impossible to take a small grocery store? Quite wrong. But the captain could only obey Killian's orders. Turn. Go to 58th Avenue, Manhattan, target location number 3. With an order from the team leader, the two armed helicopters slightly changed their direction and flew towards 58th Avenue in Manhattan. And at the moment, on the space carrier, the Hornet also discovered the anomaly of the two armed helicopters for the first time. Bumblebee already has a powerful detection ability. And now, after it is connected to the entire space carrier, the reconnaissance capability is even stronger. Through the various high-tech equipment on the aircraft carrier, it can see any abnormal situation in a considerable range even without connecting to the network at all. Naturally, the two armed helicopters can't hide from the Hornet. At the moment, Bumblebee said to Lin Yu in the communicator, Boss, 2 helicopter gunships are flying here, and their target seems to be the grocery store. Also, they seem to have been to Tony Stark's house just now. It seems that Stark's house was also attacked. Another leader was also arrested. While talking, Bumblebee controlled the 2 screens in front of Lin Yu, showing some news scenes. One of them is the scene of Tony Stark's mansion being attacked by missiles and turned into ruins. The other is an urgent news report. The content of the report is the news that the United States leader was hijacked on Air Force One. Lin Yu read these 2 news with some affection. According to the original plot, it seems that these 2 things did not happen together. And now, Killian arranged the 2 things together. Do not. 3 things. He also sent someone to trouble himself. This Killian seems to be a little different from the Killian in the previous movie. It seems to be even crazier. A smile suddenly appeared on Lin Yu's face. The crazier the better. In this case, the plot point will come sooner. The 2 armed helicopters arrived very quickly. Under Killian's orders, they increased the flight speed to the extreme. In just 3 minutes, 2 helicopter gunships arrived at 58th Avenue in Manhattan. At the moment, the sky was slightly brighter. The sun will rise soon. But when I saw more than 100 people in a circle on the street and the 2 armed helicopters in the sky, the surrounding businesses all chose not to open the door for the time being. People who were going to go to work did not dare to come out. Everyone was quietly hiding in their homes, secretly watching the scene outside. I encountered this kind of thing early in the morning. It was incredible. This is Manhattan, the most prosperous place in New York City. Here, there will be a gunship. Moreover, people can even see the missiles mounted under the 2 armed helicopters. What do they want to do? Is it possible to drop missiles in such crowded places? Originally, all these missiles were to be poured into Tony Stark's house. But didn't expect that Tony's mansion couldn't help being beaten. The mansion that was originally built by the sea was completely sunk after only a few missiles. The missiles at the back are not used at all. So, only on these 2 armed helicopters will there be missiles left. But not much. There are only 2 missiles left on each armed helicopter. But in the eyes of everyone on the plane, this total of 4 missiles is completely sufficient. Do not. Too much. It is estimated that only 1 piece is needed to blow up the entire grocery store. Although the boss said that this grocery store is a bit weird, the few people on the gunship still don't believe that a small grocery store can block the missile. At this moment, seeing the arrival of 2 armed helicopters, hundreds of people on the ground also began to slowly retreat. Although they are not very afraid of missiles, they are not stupid enough to resist explosion damage. 1 minute later, everyone finally evacuated to a safe distance. And at the moment, the captain sitting on the co-pilot of one of the armed helicopters finally gave the order to fire. The first missile, launch, under an armed helicopter, a violent flame burst out from the tail of a missile. That missile quickly flew to the grocery store on the ground. This scene. It scared the people who hid in the house and took a peek. They actually released missiles here. Is there still a King's Law? Are these people crazy in broad daylight? Everyone who saw this scene was frantically looking for a place to hide. Under the table, in the corner, behind the wall. On the space carrier. When they saw that the gunship had released missiles at their own grocery store, Wanda and Sharon's eyes instantly went wide. Especially Wanda, almost jumped up. The grocery store is the only home she recognizes. If it is blown up by a missile, Wanda will probably go crazy on the spot. "Brother, they are going to blow up our house, think of a way," Wanda said to Lin Yu. If they had known that they were going to drop missiles directly, Wanda would have flown down and wiped out the two armed helicopters. How could it be tolerated? Hear Wanda's anxious voice. Lin Yu patted Wanda's shoulder comfortingly. Then he said, "Our grocery store seems to be bulletproof." The comforting effect of this sentence is very obvious. Wanda calmed down immediately. Only, there was a slight doubt on his face. "Brother, can you guard against missiles?" Lin Yu pondered for a while, and said weakly, "Well, missiles should also be bombs, right?" Boom. Lin Yu's voice just fell. The terrifying explosion sounded instantly. The earth is shaking and the mountains are shaking. Countless glass was shattered in an instant. In the house close to the grocery store, many people were almost knocked to the ground by the shock. Even people in the distance shuddered. The explosion is too powerful. The power of this horror also made them understand the horror of missiles. However, when they came to the edge of the window again and secretly aimed at the grocery store far away from the corner of their eyes, they were instantly dumbfounded. That grocery store is all right, intact. No brick or tile was damaged. Not even the glass on the second floor is broken. But the houses on both sides of the grocery store are a bit unlucky. Although the missile hit the grocery store head-on, they were too close to the grocery store. After the explosion, the houses on both sides of the grocery store collapsed. It's not just the Peking neighbors who were stunned. The people on the gunship, as well as the Killian subordinates on the ground, were all stunned. The manpower cannot be knocked out, the rifle is useless, it is just a small problem. Now, I didn't expect that missiles would not be able to break this grocery store. It is like a fortress that has opened up a landless defense. Especially the captain on the gunship. Some people didn't believe Killian's words before. But now, has been completely convinced. He is not even going to use the other 3 missiles. After all, the power of these missiles is the same. 1 is useless, and 3 are equally useless. And at the moment, there was no waiting for the team leader to report to Killian. Killian's voice was already heard from the communicator. "Come back. Don't worry about these grocery stores." Killian's voice seemed a little tired. Just watching his group of subordinates toss around here made him feel a little tired. Tired. A broken house, tossing for a long time, failed to break into it. The most uncomfortable thing is that there is not even a trace on that house. What material is Miao's house made of? In his heart, although he still wanted to seek revenge from Lin Yu. But the current situation is beyond his control. The strangeness of Lin Yu's grocery store was beyond his imagination. In this case, it can only be returned first. After all, I still have very important things to do. When the United States leader is killed in public, and then the succeeding vice president controls the entire Millikan, it will not be too late to find Lin Yu's trouble. With Killian's order, the 2 armed helicopters returned slowly. The hundreds of subordinates on the ground also quietly retreated. An attack against Lin Yu ended silently. They didn't even see Lin Yu's appearance. It's completely like a farce. It's just that the noise is a bit loud. And at the moment, on the space carrier, Wanda seems to finally understand some new knowledge. It turns out that missiles are also bombs, at the moment. On the space carrier, seeing that the 2 armed helicopters began to fly away, everyone on the ground also began to retreat. Lin Yu hurriedly arranged to Bumblebee, "Bumblebee, follow them quietly." Bumblebee hurriedly said excitedly, "Good boss." Bumblebee seemed a little excited too. When the Hornet mutated into an Autobot, it was a blank sheet of paper. It doesn't have any messy thoughts at all, but recently, Lin Yu discovered that Bumblebee has slowly changed. It has its own careful thinking, but Lin Yu always feels something is wrong. It seems that Bumblebee was a little bit crooked by this group of people in the grocery store. An Autobot showed excitement when he heard that he was going to follow others. What's happening here? Autobots, do they also have this hobby? But the corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up slightly. This feeling of stalking someone secretly, without the other person noticing it, is really cool. Lin Yu smiled. I looked around. Really? The faces of Wanda and Sharon also had smiles similar to theirs. It seems. It's not who affected who. It's about gathering people and dividing them into groups. People who have the same hobby will eventually come together. Just when the space carrier activated the stealth mode, slowly sailing in the sky, following the two helicopters. In the ruins of Tony Stark's mansion, a flash of fire blasted out suddenly. Tony Stark, wearing a steel battlesuit, slowly rose from the ruins. During this period of mental anxiety, he wore a steel battlesuit to sleep. Originally, Pepper Potts was a little angry because of this incident. But when the missile came and Tony wearing a steel battlesuit suddenly came to her, her anger disappeared. The steel battlesuit saved the lives of the two. Moreover, Maya Hansen's life was saved by the way. After saving the two girls, Tony quickly received a call from his old friend Colonel Rod. Colonel Rod also has a steel battlesuit, which was taken from Tony's hands a long time ago. After being transformed, it became the current war machine. But on the phone, Colonel Rod hurriedly told Tony of his experience. His war machine armor was robbed, and what's more terrifying is, he was notified that the leader of the United States had been hijacked on Air Force One. Today, his task is to protect the top leader. In other words, someone robbed his war machine armor and used it to hijack the leader. Colonel Rod also relied on his powerful skills to escape. This was the chance to contact Tony. After receiving a call from Colonel Rhodes, Tony immediately asked Jarvis to start searching for the location of the war machine armor. Although the steel battlesuit was changed a lot by the military and its name was changed, it was made by Tony after all. He left many back doors in that armor. It is very simple to locate it. 10 seconds later, Jarvis found the exact location of the war machine armor. He faintly felt that the people who robbed the war machine armor and hijacked the top of the United States should be in the same group as those who attacked him. Otherwise, the timing would be too coincidental. Tony was wearing the Mark 42 armor and flew quickly towards the location. At the same time, Tony also told Colonel Rhodes the position. The two of them all moved towards the dock shown in the positioning at the fastest speed. And at the moment, inside this pier, Killian is chatting with the head of the United States who has just been captured. But at the moment, the top of the United States looks a little wolf and fox. As for Killian, he looked aloof. Most of his plan has been executed. And the vice president under his control has now taken over the command. Became the acting president of the emergency. When the time comes, I will cooperate with the acting president to act in a scene, and he will be able to successfully gain a foothold in the top ranks. At that time, Killian was the big boss behind the world's most powerful country. The whole world will be ruled by itself. Seeing that the lives of the top leaders of the United States were under his control, Killian regained his self-confidence again. He seemed to have forgotten the failure of the attack on the grocery store just now. At the moment, he put all his energy on the last thing. Have you heard of the elephant cemetery? 2 years ago, it was said that this ship, Killian smiled and said to the leader of the United States. The head of the United States apparently remembered this and said, "This is a Klaus petroleum ship. You should remember that it leaked 100 million gallons of oil near Pensacola, and, thanks to you, no one has been punished by law for this. Killian is like a gentleman." Smiling toward the United States, the chief explained. In this matter, it is indeed the top leader of the United States who sheltered those who should be punished. There was a trace of unnoticeable panic on his face. He thought that the group of people in front of him was avenging himself for this matter. "What do you want to do?" the United States leader said sternly. And at the moment, Killian said with a look of luck, "No, sir, I am not going to do anything. I just want a good reason to kill you on TV." Killian was obviously in a good mood. Treating a person with the greatest power in the world, he appears calm and relaxed, talking and laughing happily. Immediately afterwards, he said, "I have found a new political puppet. It is estimated that by this time tomorrow, he will officially take over your position." Hearing Killian's words, the head of the United States was shocked. He seemed to have guessed something. The vice president has always been in his position. Unexpectedly, he actually dared to unite these terrorists to seek power to usurp the throne. The mood of the top leader of the United States fell into a trough in an instant. He already understood in his heart that at this time, the vice president is estimated to have become the acting president. In this case, he has lost all his support. "Tie him up," Killian arranged to his men. After a few minutes, the leader of the United States, who was put on the war machine armor, but did not wear a helmet, had been tied up with 2 ropes and hung over a huge amounts of fuel tank. This is a big show Killian wants to bring to the people of the United States. By the time The fire will be staged here, and it will be broadcast live across the country. A few minutes later, the sound of propellers rang over the pier. 2 helicopter gunships returned immediately afterwards. Dozens of cars on the ground also slowly drove into the dock. All Killian's men, all gathered, at the moment. The entire pier, under Killian's order, was all on alert. There are a total of 200 people who have been injected with extremists, all over the dock. And this time, Killian stood on a high platform above the dock, looking at the United States leader below, with an excited smile on his face. Without looking back, Killian faintly said to the subordinates behind him, "Tune the equipment and prepare for the national live broadcast." Behind him, a subordinate started operating on a bunch of machines. Expected. After a few minutes, the picture of the leader of the United States being burned to death with gasoline will appear on the TVs and mobile phones of people across the country. That will be the most glorious moment in my life. However, at the moment Killian didn't know yet. Tony Stark, who he thought had been killed by him, was already on his way. It's only less than 2 minutes away from here. And even more terrifying is, above his head, an invisible space carrier is quietly suspended in the air at an altitude of several kilometers. Moreover, Lou has been here for a few minutes. On the space carrier, Lin Yu, Wanda and Sharon are looking at what is happening underneath through the big screen in front of them. The feeling of voyeurism is so cool, on the space carrier. Wanda, Sharon, and Lin Yu, the 3 of them gathered in front of the big screen in the control room of the space carrier, quietly looking at the dock below. It's like watching a great action movie, but when Killian sent someone to hang a hand of the United States on top of the giant gasoline tank, Sharon finally couldn't stand it anymore. There is still a slight difference in the thinking between her and Lin Yu brothers and sisters. Wanda has been living in an orphanage since she was a child, and in her heart she has no good impression of this country, which is superficially beautiful, but is extremely dirty. Naturally, I don't have a cold for the United States leader. If you die, you die. There will be new leaders. There will be no impact on Wanda's own life. And Lin Yu, it doesn't matter even more. He was not from this world. Definitely, even if it is a person in this world, nothing will happen. He lived in the same environment as Wanda, and he had nothing to do with the death of the top leader. But Sharon is different. The education she received since childhood is the education of the United States elite. For this country, she still has a trace of goodwill. And as an elite agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., she has not completely let go of her responsibilities in her heart. Boss, let's just watch it like this. It's not so good. The top leader will be burned alive, Sharon said nervously. But compared with Sharon before, she has changed a lot now. If it was before, if she didn't say anything else, she would fly down to rescue the top leader of the United States with Mjolnir. But now, it's just that there are some unbearables in my heart. Lin Yu also couldn't bear to make Sharon embarrassed. But Lin Yu has other plans. At the very least, I have to wait for Tony Stark to come, and then talk about other issues. Last time, in the case of Hydra and Project Insight, only 2 plot points were obtained. Let Lin Yu understand. If you want to get more plot points, you must let some of the protagonists of the Marvel world appear. Then he reappeared. In this way, more plot points can be obtained. And now it is 2. Iron Man Tony Stark hasn't come yet. At this time, he rushed out and solved the battle. It is estimated that the plot points he obtained would be only 2 points. This is too little for Lin Yu. Now Lin Yu has 18 plot points on his body. It only takes 12 o'clock to advance to the system. And most of the protagonists, Lin Yu have also met. If you want to get plot points, you can only rely on these core plots. So, if Lin Yu wants to upgrade the system, he must wait patiently for Tony's arrival. He didn't believe that Tony would be killed by Killian. Tony is a protagonist after all, it would die so easily. Lin Yu looked at Sharon, who was a little anxious, and comforted. Don't worry. The leader will not die. Someone will come to rescue him in a while. Let's just wait and watch the show. Hearing what Lin Yu said, Sharon nodded. However, there is still some tension on his face. At this time, Lin Yu suddenly said to Bumblebee, "Bumblebee, check the whereabouts of Tony Stark, and see if anything is coming here." 10 seconds later, Bumblebee directly put the screen he found on the screen in front of Lin Yu and others. On the big screen, a humanoid thing is flying fast in the sky. This thing is Tony Stark wearing a steel battlesuit. Lin Yu smiled slightly, pointing to the screen, and said to Sharon, "Look, isn't this the top rescuer? It will be here soon." Let's watch the show here honestly. Seeing Iron Man's figure, Sharon finally felt relieved. I got to Lin Yu again and looked at the picture on the big screen. And at the moment, in the White Palace, the vice president, who has just taken over as interim chief, is listening to the report. Sitting in the top position makes him feel very good. Only, the expression on his face still looked heavy. I still have to do what it should look like. Although he knew it in his heart, it was impossible for the original leader to be rescued. But he was still pretending to listen to the suggestions of several colleagues. But he is not prepared to adopt those suggestions. These terrorists are too public. I think it is necessary to teach them some unforgettable lessons, the vice president said proudly. The United States executives below all nodded and agreed. At this moment, one of the senior officials suddenly stood up and said, "Your Excellency, Deputy Acting President, I think the New York military should be asked to send all its troops to rescue the top leader." This high-level person is a confidant of the former leader of the United States. His hand is held hostage by terrorists, he is the one most worried about. But his words were quickly rejected by the vice president. He shook his head, and then said, "The military is not suitable to do this. If a large number of troops are rushed out, the safety of the top leader cannot be guaranteed at all." He squinted his eyes and thought for a while, then slowly said, "It's better to let S.H.I.E.L.D. be responsible for the rescue. The elite agent in S.H.I.E.L.D. is the most suitable for rescue work, and there are those powerful Avengers to assist, which is the safest and safest." As soon as the voice of the vice president fell, he received the support of many people below. Only a few of them were embarrassed, but the vice president did not give them a chance to speak again. He waved his hand directly and said, "It's so decided, contact the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., let them arrange rescue work as soon as possible." In the end, those who had opinions failed to say anything against it. In their hearts, they seemed to understand the vice president's thoughts. And they also know that if the top leader really does not come back, then the vice president will become the top leader. If they object too much, the future will probably be very difficult. When everyone walked out of the #1 office, the vice president finally showed a weird smile on his face. He actually already knew what happened in the middle of the night. S.H.I.E.L.D. I guess it's overwhelming now. The headquarters building has been blown up. How can it be possible to have the energy to send rescue personnel? As for the Avengers, the most powerful Iron Man should have been killed by Killian. What did they take to rescue the leader? This is why the vice president chose to let S.H.I.E.L.D. rescue the top leader. This position will eventually be his own peer. After a few minutes of high-speed flight, Tony Stark, wearing a steel battlesuit, finally came here. Killian was a little surprised at his appearance. But there is not much worry. Today, in this pier, there are a total of 200 people who have been injected with extremists. A Tony Stark can't make a big storm at all. Standing on the high platform of the pier, Killian sneered at Tony Stark in the sky, and said, "Are you going to die?" And Tony Stark did not respond to him. Just suspended in the air, waiting quietly. Only less than 20 seconds passed. A large spot of light appeared in the sky. Dozens of steel armors appeared beside Tony Stark at the same time. Majestic and majestic. Killian below, his face also became serious. The show is about to begin. The three people on the space carrier also widened their eyes. When they saw dozens of steel armors in the distance following Tony and coming over the pier, the three were extremely excited. This is really a blockbuster that you can't see in the cinema. Even Erha leaned over, squatting behind the three of them, watching this rare scene. But just then, Sharon's cell phone rang again. After answering the call, Nick Fury's familiar voice came. There seemed to be a hint of pleading in the voice. Nick Fury seems to have become less and less of the majesty of being a director. "Sharon, as consultant Lin by your side? Can he answer the phone?"